News Channel 3, 9 and 12. I want to say good morning. They have a lot of tattletelling to do because this is their job, public awareness. They also want everybody to know stuff was handed to me from the police department and the news, New York Times in Long Island, and stuff was handed to different places that I go to, and tracers were put on it. So News Channel 3, 9 and 12 and the New York Times, along with Long Island media and the police, want to do a tattletale and tell what possibly was regifted, or what you saw these employees or these friends or the family members using. You don't give somebody something and take it upon yourself to take away their Christmas presents. I got absolutely no Christmas presents because of this harassment case. This is the pain and harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. My name is Vicki Johnson. You can call any police department and ask. This has been going on since New York, where the police department or others gave me stuff and my children, and it was given to others because they claimed they had the right. If they wanted to keep what was given to me, they had the right to keep it. And it's been going on for almost 10 years because the court case is a hate crime, and you have the right to take. And a lot of my stuff has been took. Just a few months ago, I had to rebuy everything, and that wasn't long ago, and the police department will tell you about that. All my stuff got locked up in my storage unit again. They claimed they had the right to tear up my van, the second van. They'll tell you about that. But this is a hate crime where it was originally shut down a bunch of white supremacists. And years ago, my sister was hiding a lot of stuff, and she used the white supremacist groups that she was involved in to hide stuff and keep the police quiet, like the fact that my mom tried to abort me, and I was supposed to be a twin, and I have it would have been nice to know, and I have a different father. And when she got older, the police telling me much got hushed up through threats through the white supremacist group. She also had me raped and drugged, and none of this a few times. And the police said it was, you don't know what they're into, you need to get out. But they were threatened with lawsuits and so forth by the groups that they were involved in, and they'll tell you more about that. But then I got into a relationship, and they say my sister is a sociopath, but I got into a relationship when we have different fathers, and it was a joke growing up. It was a joke growing up that I didn't look like him. It was a joke growing up that I didn't look just like my sister, and my sister started that in school when she was as young as kindergarten or first grade, they think, because that's around the time I heard it, whenever she started school, and she knew and kept it a secret because she enjoyed the secret, because my real father is a doctor. So she enjoyed that secret, and then I got in a relationship, and that was domestic violence, and he was a black man. And that doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm just saying it was domestic violence. Well, my sister had fun with that one, and we had 3 kids, and she befriended him. And a person like that, just because they woo-hoo anybody, and she was woo-hoo should have sex with anybody. And just because you have sex with anybody doesn't mean you're not. It just means you're basically, she's a sociopath. She'll do anything for her prey, to get her prey, and she'll do anything. And this court case is proof of it. But she since has AIDS, and she's locked up with life in prison and lethal injection waiting for her, along with my ex. But I got involved in, I moved off to New York because I couldn't get any help here because of the domestic violence. And I had 3 kids. And I moved off with Kayla, William, and Jacob. And I got in a relationship. Things weren't going so well. I was almost raped in New York and Brooklyn. And I met somebody I wasn't planning on anything, but I liked him and he liked me. Well, come to find out, his family has a little bit, and his mama passed away, and I didn't think about his mama having anything. Well, he was legally married because he couldn't get a divorce because she was threatening threats in court, and she refused, and they were charging her fraud, and she was trying to get out of it. So she was harassing the charges away till the investigation was over with, and kind of like my sister did when I was younger. Harass it away till you're done with your investigation and we're happy, and then you can tell her. And it just put it on the back, put all my charges and all my arrest warrants on the back table, because I'm gonna keep it going. And same thing they did, and same thing his ex-wife was doing. Well, I got a relationship with him and didn't know what was going on. She also stole a bunch of stuff, and I knew that, and stole a bunch of money out of his account. And she was being charged with fraud because she didn't work. Really, he did. And he was the one that had the job. Well, I knew that was going on, and I knew he had a girlfriend that died in a car wreck. Well, they did an investigation on me, and that pulled up about my sister and my ex, and they pulled them into the court case. And she did investigate the ex-wife because the family had money and the family was helping her. She did an investigation on me even before I got with him. And his uncle, which is his lawyer, my ex's lawyer, and which is his uncle, said, "Fine, do it." And so they knew everything about me before I got with Joey. I always wondered about that one. But anyway, we had 2 kids. And things were kind of rocky because of he had an alcohol problem, and his sisters and his ex-wife, he was always mad at them in the relationship. What I didn't know was he was dying of lung cancer, and he kept it from me. And when he started feeling really, really bad through this court case, they were, the ex-wife claimed pain and suffering. He was suffering through pain and suffering, and my sister wanted lawsuits. Well, if you're going to accuse me of this, and my ex came up with this, something about the white supremacist groups, and they pulled up lawsuits I could have had here, and they'll explain it, but it's a huge court case. It's going to be a book and a movie that I've been abused. I'm engaged to a homeless. I'm not explaining it very well. There's so much to it that I don't know because I've never gone to court. And that started with the ex-wife. Don't bring her to court. And my sister enjoyed that one because she pulled my sister in on her side, and they were actually paid off by these white supremacist groups. And I'm living homeless when I have a beach house in Long Island. I have 5 kids at the moment because I had 2 with him in New York. I have 5 kids. They're held up on the other side of the court case. I get them whenever I'm out. I have a whole bunch of money in the bank. I have the $3 million that my ex left me, plus he won lawsuits after that. I have a whole lot in the bank, and I have a whole lot waiting for me. And through threats and everything, everybody's done a lot. They've torn up my van, they've done this, they've done that. I'm lucky to be alive. I had to be resuscitated. My daughter had to be resuscitated over arrest away charges. They'll explain it to you, but it's supposed to be a book and a movie. And it cannot be aired on the news because they threatened lawsuits. Walmart was supposed to close somehow to remove me from the court case. I don't totally understand everything because I haven't been explained, and nobody wants to explain it. And it's up to the public, it's up to the people to sit down with me and say, let me tell you about this. And it's up to them, and nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to say, hey, Vicki, you really do have. And my first 3 kids, their father's black, and the last 2, their father is Latino. But in the court case, the ex-wife wanted me gone because my ex was passing away. He was dying, basically. He was out, but last time I saw him, he was very, very pale. So get her away, get her away. Right as soon as I saw him real pale, they said, get her away. So they sent me to Georgia so I wouldn't know he was passing away. And basically cut off contact and controlled my phone. Through harassing my charges, they controlled my phone and controlled the fact that he couldn't get through, and controlled this and controlled that. And it all had to do with control. But I have a chip in my head and earbuds in my ear that the police department talked to me. And I'll explain that. I'm technically brain dead through the court case because of drugs. My kids and I were given rat poisoning. I'm not explaining the story very well. To be quite honest, I don't know it very well. All I know is what I've been told. And I'm engaged to Homeland Security Police Officer Tony Velez, and I can't go home with him. I'm living homeless on a bench because that's what the community said I deserve for doing nothing. That's what they enjoy me being there. And a lot of Walmart now, Walmart and different places were supposed to close even when I was in New York, and they said we don't want to close. So the white supremacists said, you want to have a lawsuit because they want to close? Yeah, sure. But something the employees were doing, and they said, well, we'll work this out or something and close for a week, and we'll take care of and arrest people. And they said, no, we don't want to close or something. And so the employees and customers tried to sue Walmart and so forth, and they got nothing, got nowhere because it was all fraud. And but through harassment charges, they were really trying to sue, and they were trying to sue their employers, and they were trying to sue the city, and trying to sue the police, and trying to sue the courts, and trying to sue me without me knowing, to drain away all of my lawsuit and everything I won. And they were also trying to adopt out my kids. I've been away from my kids for almost 3 years, and I've been homeless for almost 3 years. And I've had that beach house for a very, 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 very long time without knowing I have it. And I've had it in the bank for a very, 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 very long time without knowing that I had, because they didn't want to tell me. And even on Long Island, Joey wanted to put that money in my name. Even before I left New York, I was actually forced to leave New York and come back to the Georgia and Tennessee area so my sister could get to me and my ex, and get to the children. And they'll explain. But a lot of things that you wouldn't believe. I'm technically brain dead, so it's hard for me to think. They wanted me to try to think, but it's hard for me to think and explain the story. It goes to a computer. My thoughts go to a computer. I don't know them, and I can't read a book. It goes to a computer and comes back to me, and my earbuds kind of like thoughts. And they have trained my brain to respond to the earbuds and say and think what I'm told to say and think. And they'll explain that to you, but I'm technically over blood clots and lack of oxygen and blood to the brain dead, and I can't think. I need brain surgery. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's simplest form of it. They just said, but they can only tell me what they can tell me through the court case, and they tell me that so y'all won't believe. It's a case where my children and I have been abused, mostly me, and the community has embarrassed the hell out of me. This, they said to show this. This is a bag that I put my sleeping bag in, and I just woke up and I just welded in here, and my sleeping bag and everything is in it, and I sleep in it, and I sleep in the cold. And I could go home to Tony, and I could go to New York, and I could have had my kids for Christmas. I didn't receive any Christmas presents again. I really don't care. They gave stuff to even this U-Haul, cups and so forth, and blankets and hand warmers and different things. And whenever I was like at work and stuff, and said, here, give this to them. And it was and a whole lot to where I work. And it was up to them whether they gave it to me or not. And it was up to them whether they took it home or not. And that's gone on for a very, 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 very long time, almost 10 years. And they decided to keep it. But they get charged for it because everybody that had tracers on it from the police department. And I had people embarrass me, and people say stuff. And I had one woman, a lot of women have stole my clothes. They've worn my clothes right in front of me, and there was nothing I could do because they were drugging me to keep me quiet. One woman works in a church, and she was one of the main ones. She also wore a pair of my underwear and put the dirty underwear back, and it was a bunch of illegal court orders, and they tried to illegal court order me to wear the underwear, her dirty underwear. And a lot of things you wouldn't believe. Urine was poured in my van because they illegally ordered the police to put urine in my van. And I can only say what the police department is telling me to say, and it's through the court orders. So, because otherwise I would be mute. So I only say and I only do what I'm told to do. The joke was I was everybody's puppet, and they'll explain that to you. But I'm not a puppet, and nor do I say and do or should everything. I should have my own thoughts, and I should be able to go home to my children. And if somebody gives me something, I should be able to receive it. So they want to tell all the years where things went. This is a court case that the New York Times is here and they're in on, and even Oprah Winfrey is going to write the book and have the movie. Supposedly, my family heritage goes back to my blood pressure is dropped in my brain, and I have a heart the size of a 3 and 4 year old, and other parts of my organs are very small because my mom tried to deport me. My twin, they say, was born deformed, but I was born looking normal looking, so she thought she could hide the secret forever. But what it is my heart is very, very small. Was born deformed, and sometimes my blood pressure, it takes a little bit for me to wake up. And the damage that they did on my face, as you can see, I never had this before, did in my face, and they knew what they were doing. And they used a crazy doctor at the hospital here that was mad because I was suing a bunch of places, which I never went to court. It's my lawyer's just doing it, and actually is the judge on Long Island that's actually closing a lot of places and suing people. But they'll tell you more about that because there's a lot I don't know. But you can contact any police department worldwide, and they'll tell you about the pain and harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. My name is Vicki Johnson. Through the scam, every bit of this is a scam, including me having the storage unit, including me doing everything I'm doing. Everything is illegal. Not for me, for others. Me even having the storage unit is illegal. Not for me, because others want me to do it. They're making me do it, and basically to survive. I can't go in fast food places because they drag my food. They've given me food out of the garbage, food with feces, food that they spit in. Pretty much every single place and every single fast food place has done something, and the police department can tell you more about that, even stuff I don't know about. And they'll tell you a lot. And even some of the last 2 times we were with the police department in uniform right there. And they still did it and thought it was funny. And still was working there the next day. I'm going to tell you about why and tell you what all they've done. But you can contact any police department, but through the scam it cannot be aired on the news. They actually went to court and claimed that the community, including anybody anywhere, did not care. Did not care about me, did not care about my children, did not want to hear what they were doing, and they did not want anybody else to know what they were doing in their dirtiness, their dirty transgressions. They didn't want anybody to know, nor did they have to let anybody know. And they're still doing stuff, and they're still saying stuff. In the news channel 3, 9, and 12 in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area here locally, I was working with the New York Times and the police, and New York media is here, along with New Jersey and others, and they're working with them to help get the story, and they're all working together, along with Texas and Illinois. Also, Gracie Gold, Olympic figure skater, and Carly Gold is in on this. She didn't try for the Olympics because of depression and eating disorder, and she thinks harassment is ugly. As that's the reason that she didn't try out for the Olympics, and that she claims because of harassment, to be perfect and to be what others want you to be, and she couldn't do anymore, and because of pressure, and so this hit hard with her. She didn't try out for the Olympics, and she went through her own trials and tribulations because others pushing her. So she's here in Chattanooga, Tennessee area helping air the story, but she's on the children's side of it. The kids are in New York, and so you can see videos of the kids and so forth. And we're also adopting twins through it's actually through Hamilton County Social Service here locally, but they're in New York with the children. They got to go there right before Christmas, and they're also up walking and learning to talk and stuff. And I've only seen one of them once, and I was asked, "Do you want to adopt?" And by the way, they're twins. That's about how it went, and they'll tell you about that. And that was kind of cold and ugly. And also the Impractical Joker show came here, and they say that Oprah Winfrey, they're going back and forth, and they actually make me say what I'm saying. It really makes me upset, and I just kind of have to go along with it. And lately I've been trying to fight it, but my brain is actually trained to say what they tell me to say because I'm brain dead, and they'll tell you about that. I have to have surgery and have to get my own thoughts back on. And but my family heritage actually goes back to Oprah's, and we have the same grandmother in the past. She was a slave, but I'm from one side and she's from the other side, but we have the same grandmother, and they'll tell you more about that. But none of the story really can be aired through the scam. Can be aired on the news, or can be anywhere. But you can call the police department. They have to keep it off the internet mostly, other than in this link, from what I've been told. But you can call any police department. It's a pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And the police department's really proud of me for getting the story out here. I'm not charged with anything. I'm the victim. So they kind of tricked the scammers, and the media did, and the police did, and the courts did. I can air the story. I can say you can call and get the link. Call any police department worldwide, or News Channel 3, 9, or 12 in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area. You can email them, and you can call the police department, or you can email Oprah Winfrey, but she cannot post it anywhere. Or you can email the New York Times or any New York media, and or any police department worldwide. All the police departments in New York especially know about it, but and they can send you a link to the story. It's about a 10-hour special. Well, over 10 hours. That's all I can say. That's all they're allowing me to say. It's over 10 hours. They keep adding more and more and more to it every single day, because they're working really hard on it. New York is, and other states. But it's a huge story that's going to be all over the news, and we're also going to be working with the Disney Channel on anti-bullying and harassment campaign. There's a lot that I did not tell you, and then just say what I'm told to say. That's all I can do, is can say what I'm told to say. But we're going to be working on an anti-bullying campaign with Disney and Justice, because my kids got fought for justice. They walked out of foster care with just the clothes on them. And that was the whole plan. So the police department, like, I bought my girls Cabbage Patches last time we were with them, and there were Sketcher Cabbage Patches, and they went and contacted the company, and they made the same dolls, but they put one of the dolls, they made the same dolls. They made them exact replicas of the dolls. Birth certificates, everything. Same exact replicas. But what they did is they put there were two dolls. They put the dolls in the harassment case, which I can't get anything out of this court case till I'm removed from the court case. And right now, and two of the dolls they kept at the company and didn't tell the other side of the court case. And so when they were, and that happened with a lot of stuff. So then whenever they were removed and they came back with nothing, or they didn't come back with that, I got them like Minecraft books for my boys and stuff, then they were able to get it directly from the company. So they trying to kind of trick the court case in a lot of ways, because the kids wanted back what I got them. And I haven't been with my kids in almost 3 years. I've been homeless in almost 3 years. It's a very horrible court case. But I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but and it really frustrating me, but I can only do what I'm told to do. And it's a pain harassment case, Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And I've been abused by the community. horribly abused, and communities. And even the police are illegally coerced to say and do things, but they're not doing them like they were. But they even do harassment because, but what's going on right now is that that Walmart and major companies are giving their employees charges, including where I work. Just my work check last week was shorted $150, and it went into somebody else's account. Every check at work was shorted, and sometimes it went into other people's accounts, and sometimes the company just kept it. But every single paycheck I've ever received was shorted. And last week was $150, and I said it went into her account, and she had a party with it, and did drugs and alcohol, and they had a party with my paycheck. And I'm homeless and can't eat anywhere because they'll drug my food. But it's a pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, New York. Calling police department. I want to get off here because my throat hurts and I haven't had anything to drink. But and the police are telling me to. Pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, New York. Through the scam, it cannot be aired on the news, but it will be. And some of what you'll be seeing is what will be aired, and you'll see a video of my kids. And anybody can show me this. Anybody can put on a tablet. I can't pull it up on my phone. Even if I was given it, I can't pull it up. Anybody could say, "Here, Vicki, you need to see this. This is important," and I care. Nope. Nobody did anything for me. They think nobody did anything to me because I think they had a right to do what they did. But you don't have a right to abuse somebody. And there's also comments made from local people locally here in this community that have done things, and there's going to be a mass number of people through the investigation losing because they were thoroughly investigated. These white supremacist groups also paid people off and to do things, and because I was suing these very rich businessmen, so they said, "We don't want you getting it, and we're going to throw our money into the community." So they paid people off to do things. They paid people off to shut up. They paid people off. So many people and employees accepted illegal donations that were technically illegal donations, and because I was suing them for it, and the court said don't accept them. Churches accepted donations illegally. It's like accepting money that's been robbed from the bank. You don't do that. And that the police department has a huge federal investigation about. You don't do that. Well, they accepted money. The church I grew up in, they did renovations and renovated the church and added on. And did a whole bunch of stuff, and made the church look real pretty. But yeah, all kinds of stuff has happened. But employees accepted money for the YMCA I go to. I'm also supposed to go into these places. I'm supposed to go into Walmart. I'm supposed to come in here in U-Haul and not pay for anything, and among a bunch of other places. And I'll tell you who did that and who didn't, and who asked for what, and who, and those were real court orders that they were really supposed to follow. Even at work, they don't. I'm the only one without a locker. I tie my stuff up in a bag and lock it up, and it's on the floor. Everybody else has a locker, and they make sure they got a locker. They all have cars, pretty much. They all have a house. They're not in this situation. My stuff is scattered on the floor while I'm getting ready, because I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and about 4, walk to my storage unit and storage facility, and wait till 5 o'clock, get into the storage unit, and then get the bus about 5:20 or so, and in the morning. That's and I don't have time to get ready, so I have to get ready at work, and my stuff is locked up, and that really pisses off the police department, and they let me know every day. But my stuff is locked up, and I chain it to a chair, and everybody else gets a locker. And they all handed out Christmas presents. They all knew about my check being shorted, made a joke out of it. They all handed out Christmas presents to each other. They a lot of them received, because there's tracers on it, a lot of them received my gifts that came in that the police department, the news dropped off to do a story and to prove a point and to get charges. And plus, where I work, the company itself, not the employees, the company itself wanted that to happen. Dropped some stuff off. They even donated some stuff, and see what happens, see where it goes. And they even bought stuff and set their own employees up and see where it goes. They even went to some of the people in the office. They stole stuff, and I got nothing. And that's happened everywhere I go. Even when I had my kids, they were giving stuff to my kids. They stole stuff. They stole Christmas stuff in the house. And my kids have had Christmas toys stolen on Christmas while they were opening Christmas presents. While I had Nicholas, my youngest, in the hospital, and on Christmas Day they stole Christmas presents, and they just let them do it. And they tell about a lot of stuff, but they walked out of foster care with absolutely nothing. And my daughter was almost raped, and my 7-year-old daughter told so much that and told the police and the school so much, because she's gifted, that she got herself and her 4 brothers and sisters removed from the court case, and they sent them to New York. But when they walked out with absolutely nothing. And when they went back to get the dolls, which really ticks me off, the dolls were torn up, and they claim another child tore them up when she played with them and didn't want to show them. But what they did is they tore them up after they removed the kids. And that's about all that they found. And they wanted Megan, because they were mad at Megan. They punished Megan, abused Megan, and abused the others, but mostly Megan and Nicholas. And they're Joey's. They're the one that in New York with the and it was the black family, which that doesn't have anything to do with it. It's still no excuse. But she had fun abusing my white children, and that's a hate crime. So a lot of the foster parents that they used, it was the other side that actually picked the foster parents, and they got paid to abuse my children while my children were in foster care in their hands from the white supremacist groups, and they were racist. They got paid to abuse my children, and they'll tell you about that. It's the pain and harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. I'm going to get off here, but it is a need to know. A lot of people are being deported over it, and a mass number of people are being deported. So many people are involved. A mass number of people are losing food stamps and disability. A mass number of people are getting life in prison because this is a huge federal crime that they thought was a joke. They thought this whole thing was a joke, and it was funny, and they're still laughing about it, and they still think it's funny, but it was never funny. It was never a joke. It's not a joke that my daughter had to be resuscitated because they gave her a drug to shut her lungs off, my oldest. It's not a joke that she almost got raped and at school. It's not a joke. None of this was a joke. None of it's a joke that I had to be resuscitated, that I'm living homeless when I could have had Christmas with them and I could have gone home. It's not a joke that they poured urine in my van. It's not a joke that I got beat up going to work. My nose is broken, as you can tell, it's crooked. And at work, they laughed about it. And they said, "What's wrong with you?" Well, and and they tell about that. They tell exact words off of me, because I have earbuds from the police department. And I kept telling them that over and over. I kept telling them. Well, now they're airing the story, and they also have some video to show, and faces to show that said things or that did things, and I'm not part of that, so nobody can say, "Oh, you told you." No, I'm just I have to get the story out there, because this petitions the courts to remove me. This petitions the courts that, yes, people do care, because they actually took it to court that nobody cares whether I get my kids. Nobody cares whether I live or die. Nobody cares whether they get in trouble. So just keep them out of trouble. And nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. So actually, they'll explain more through the scam. They're wanting to remove me because the companies are still getting charges on everyone. And they are demanding charges. So what's going on now is Oprah in the news and the police department and others are teaming up. The New York Times are trying to put this together to air it that yes, people do actually care. So leave your comments and your voices, and it actually does go to court, what you say and what you think. And it does petition the courts that yes, this needs to be aired on the news. I don't need to be doing this, and I don't want to be doing this. It's not my job. My job is to go home with my kids and be a mommy. And that's the only thing I really want to do. I want to be a mommy. And I want to have my surgery. I want to be healthy. I want to be well. And I want to be a mommy. And I hate looking at this and looking at what they did to my skin, because they did things to my skin. And they made me gain weight and shut off my thyroids. And I have a lot of blood clots throughout my brain and my face. And like a blood flow is what's causing this, and all over my body I have a lot of blood clots, and I have blood clots in my heart and my lungs and everywhere. Everywhere. And they'll tell you about that and tell you what it does on a daily basis. But it's a pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. Just show that you do care and you do think this community needs to be arrested. And your voices and your comments do go to court. And I'm actually told to do this by the police department, but you can call any police department worldwide. It's a pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And my name is Vicki Johnson. You're going to hear about me on the news. But the name of the case will change because they never wanted it to be called pain and harassment. That's what the other side wanted it called, because why? Well, they kind of got a little horny over the pain and the harassment title. Instead of Vicky versus the people or whatever they wanted it called. But they got a little horny after this whole thing. Police department's making me say that. I don't like to use those words. But they really did. And the police department will tell you, and you'll see comments. It's ugly. It's horrible. And I've had a lot of racial comments made to me, because my heritage goes back to Oprah's. So what? It goes back to Latino, they say too, on my father's side. So what? And so what? I'll take her for a family member. Who wouldn't? Hardly. I mean, you know, other than those stupid white supremacists, they'd probably take her just because she has money. But yeah, I'll take her. But more than anything, I want to see my children. One bus driver said on the bus the other day, she said, "Really? I wonder what she's going to give you." I said, "I don't know." But really what I want, I don't really want anything. This whole thing is been about stuff, what people don't realize. Stuff. Take her stuff, steal her stuff, get her stuff, wear her stuff, brag about her stuff, let you have it. They stole underwear, they stole bras, they stole clothes, and wore in front of me while I'm being drugged and can't hardly move and can't do anything about it, and leave me with nothing. And this is what this whole court case has been about, and my children. So really, we don't think about stuff like we used to, and that's not number one objective with me, and it never really was, but especially now. It's just 10 years of abuse over stuff, and people wanting me to die. I want to hug my kids and I want to touch them. I want to run my fingers through their hair. It was always a joke that I couldn't keep my fingers out of my boys' hair because I like wrapping the curls around my hands. But I want to hug my kids and I want to kiss them. Fuck the stuff, even though I'm getting it and I can't give it back. Fuck the stuff and fuck the money. I want my kids and I want Tony. Been a long time since I had a hug, and been told nice words. I've been abused and treated so bad through the community and over the years. It'd be nice to have a hug again, and the only ones I get it from are my children. But I'm engaged to a Homeland Security police officer, and he can't do that, and never has. But I want a hug, and I want a kiss, and I want my children, and I want Tony, and all the other cops, and Norton. It's making me say Norton. He's a police officer that's here in Chattanooga from New York, and he knew me even before Tony. But he'll tell you about him and Palmer. But on the thing, he talks about him and Palmer talks about himself. Pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. They also made sure that I looked older by the time the case ended by putting stuff on my face and giving me aging drugs and all sorts of stuff. And they'll tell you about that. But I do look a lot older than I did. And I'll tell you all about that. But it's a pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. My children were also given... it's hard for me to cry because of the blood clots and what was done to my brain. They actually have to allow my brain to cry, but I can't because it hurts my head. It hurts my head and it hurts my eyes, and I can't do it. And I'm a big crier, and they took emotions away from me, and it being able to express emotions. And what it actually did, it actually made my eyes hurt, and my head hurt, and around here, and around here. You know, it actually made that hurt, and it makes it hurt really, really bad. And now I got a headache. It's a pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, New York. It was never a joke, and it's even affecting other states and other countries, and places are closing and other areas. So it's a huge fraud case. It's a hate crime. It's originally in this area to shut down a bunch of white supremacists and arrest them, and they didn't want to be arrested, so they came up with a scam that was going on before I came back to Georgia and Tennessee area when I was living in New York. And because I'm not charged and I'm innocent, I can do this, and they can't sue or charge me. And every night I have a threat, and last night was a gun threat, and the police department had to and that goes on almost every night. And I'll tell you about that. But I've dodged a lot of threats. And last night they said it was a gun threat because of these videos. And they're getting out the story, and they're having me do it. And I'm living homeless. And sleeping on a park bench while the police have me. But none of this was ever a joke. It's a pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. I want to go home. And your comments and your voice petitions the court and does go to a court that actually people don't agree with what happened here, and they don't think it's right. And they do think that they need to be arrested, despite so many people in trouble and so many places closing. Less than 10% of the population here just in Hamilton County alone, they say is not any way involved. Not being arrested or not any way involved. Mass number of people have life in prison. A mass number of people have life in prison with lethal injection, including my own sister and my ex. It's never a joke. None of this court case whatsoever was ever a joke, and they made a joke out of it. And they even made it a fraud court case that I went to, and they told a bunch of lies. Social service did. And they'll tell you about the lies the social service told. Pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. You can call any police department and ask, but through the scam it cannot be aired. But I can say you can call. And I have a lot of threats to the community, and so does the police and New York Times and Oprah and the news here. But they're doing it anyway. And there's a lot of New Yorkers here, and they're doing it anyway because it needs to be told, and I need to get out. Pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. My name is Vicki Johnson. Call any police department and ask. Bye. Show that you care. Because just because they don't care here, it's showing that others do care at least a little bit in other areas. Alrighty, bye. Whether you give permission or not, the police department still puts up cameras in a lot of places, including U-Haul and even privately owned businesses, such as any privately owned business in Geneva or any other area. If you make a comment or say anything, Homeland Security, even on your telephone if you're being investigated. My blood pressure has dropped, and all day it's been, and yesterday and day before that, and so my eyes are kind of, I haven't been feeling very good, but just remember to watch what you say, and anybody that turns anything up, says anything, turn them over, because you could be charged. It's just like if somebody robbed the bank and you knew information about it, you could be charged for it. No, this is a joke. A lot of restaurants have surveillance in there, and you cannot find it. This is state of the art, just like these. It's not a joke, and just like this, state of the art. And the hospital I went to in Atlanta after the kids were took was not because I was mentally ill. It was just the opposite. It was, this thing changed. Why? Because they wanted to cause more pain inside of me. And it was just the opposite. I'm not mentally ill, but it was a mental hospital. What it was they were going to make me mentally ill and cause so much pain. And throughout this, it works with my central nervous system. It's a computer chip, and it did a lot of damage. It's just like it works it kind of like a computer. And if you call the police department, you can even call Erlinger, and they'll send you some email about it and explain it, and even send you some stuff off of their computer to show you how it works, and to show you actually some images of my body while it was being done, and actually what it did, and the drugs and what it did. But none of this was ever a joke, and everybody will be arrested soon, and if you laugh about it, or somebody else does and makes fun of the situation, you could get in trouble. And so just remember, they are ending this, and even if your children say stuff, turn it over, because eventually they will figure out who said what and who didn't turn in what, and they have. And how do they do this? Well, Homeland Security's pretty much every Homeland Security department nationwide and is involved, in some departments overseas are involved, and they have very fast computers and very good technology. And from what I've been told, and I've even saw a video off of YouTube, the computer does all the work, and the officer even said the computer does all the work. We don't have to do the work that we did years ago. The computer does everything. It listens to everything. They don't have to. They can listen to every conversation in this whole city, whether it's a cell phone, whether you get another phone or not. It all goes to one, it all gets sent out. All they have to do is just pick up everybody's signal, and it goes to the computer, and the computer picks everything up and sorts everything out for them. So even people's computers are being monitored, and tablets and so forth. So you think that you are getting away with stuff, and you think that you have done something, and you think that you, and it's even sorting out people's identity by voice recognition, sorting out people's voices, and even if you disguise your voice, and they say it's pretty hot stuff. And the computers are absolutely fantastic, and these are too, and what they can do is absolutely wonderful. From what I've been told, I can even pick up a tag on a vehicle if it's close enough. So yeah, they've captured all kinds of stuff, and they can even listen inside. I can do almost as much as some of what their cars can do and their computers can do in their cars. These little tiny things. And they also have cameras in them, and they can capture inside buildings, certain buildings, and all across the room, and pick up stuff off signals and internet and all sorts of crap. But whether I'm around or not, they figure it out because they have every single corner of every single business, and you cannot find it and you cannot detect it, and it is so small and so tiny, and the computers are absolutely wonderful, and the microchips and the little cameras and the little, microphones and everything that they have, from what I've been told, is so absolutely wonderfully fantastic that they've done so much with it. But and it's not just Tennessee or Georgia, it's other states too, and New York. But if you know anything, a lot of the businesses are getting pulled into it, and even more businesses are getting pulled into it, but I'm about to be removed, and they've already done what they need to do in court and finalized a bunch of stuff because the scam wanted them to, and done the arrest. And if they show up, they're going to start showing up in uniforms more and badges, and even let me know it and say stuff in front of me. They can. And certain places, just because I'm new to certain places, it does not mean that you can harass away the police or harass the police from what you can and can't do when it comes to a police department investigation. They have the right to say, yes, we're going to show up with a car. Yes, we're going to say something in front of her. Yes, we can say something to you in front of customers. Yes, we can show up with a badge. Yes, we can show up with a uniform. Yes, we can give your arrest warrant in front of a customer. You do not have the right to turn away a police officer or tell a police officer what to do. They're doing their job for a reason, and they're doing the job to protect the innocent and to protect the community. And But none of this was ever a joke, and nor does Homeland Security and Congress and the other courts. Like the South has a record in the history of making our own rules and deciding what is right and wrong. That's all the way from their fight to have slavery, and we have a right to have a certain race of the community work for us and beat them to death, which doesn't make any sense. But I never got that even as a child. I never understood that, and it wasn't in the school I went to. It really wasn't talked about. It was just that these soldiers did this and they fought for this war, and oh, how great they were, but that didn't make any sense either. But it should have been how wrong it was, and it wasn't right, and you don't fight for illegal stuff. You don't fight for the right to make your own decisions, to control the courts and control the police department and control what's wrong. You don't fight to keep someone in slavery. I have been enslaved in this court case. The police department has been enslaved in this court case. My children have been enslaved in this court case. The courts have been enslaved. The lawyers have been enslaved. Some that tried to help, including Oprah Winfrey, has been enslaved from helping me, and been gagged to continue the court case the way the courts want it to go, and including others. And it's not right. You don't have a right to say what somebody can and cannot do, to the point where someone's lucky to live or die, or a police officer gets shot because the police are having a meeting and they're scared shit that they're going to get shot because that's the tip that they have. None of this is right, but they are putting an end to it, and they're going to do it peacefully as they can, and they need everybody's cooperation when the arrests do start, and I am removed, and they do have backup coming, and they do have things set up, but they are not being all nicey-nicey, and they're not going to start being all nicey-nicey when all that does come to an end, because all this has been extremely very serious, and it never was a joke, and it never will be a joke to them, even though they have made a bit of a joke out of it in front of me, and y'all have made a joke out of them. It never was a joke, and the ones who made a joke out of Walker County, the courthouse, y'all are in a lot of trouble, but including social service. But call about the pain and harassment case. None of this was ever funny, and the pun was not fun, not for the police. That's what an officer's son said to me when I was drugged at Five Guys, and they made me real sick there, and you can ask about that. That was the one in Chattanooga, and also Panera Bread. Y'all are in a lot of trouble, and for drugging me, and you can ask the police department about that too. But you also have no lawsuit for going to any other place that did drug me, and if you drugged yourself or if they drug you, you have no lawsuit. And you can ask about that. No one in the entire case other than police officers and I have lawsuits. And the courts may have some lawsuits on people too, but they're going to worry about that later. But none of this was ever funny. And I will basically be in my kids and we are even now basically in the witness protection program, and we have been for a while because this court case is a court case that was very cruel, and we should have never been in. So what my lawyer has asked for and the police have asked for is if all this was allowed to go on, that we be protected. So to some point we have been, and by the grace of God, I've lived to bring down these groups and shut them and arrest them. And y'all just got pulled in. But for a community that has a history of fraud, food stamp fraud, child support fraud, tax fraud, gambling, South has a history of making their own rules and thinking that they have a right to overpower the system and slide by and get by with what they think they should have, and steal what they think they should have, and treat their children how they think they should have. We have a right to beat our kids. We have a right to do what we want. We have a right to have slaves. We have a right to this. We have a right to that. Well, I'm not a slave, and no one has a right to have a slave. And the police officers are not the community slaves, and the courts are not the community slaves. And we're coming out of our bondage, and we're being freed. And the police and the courts are being free to arrest people very soon. So they need everybody's cooperation or it will get worse. And they will just arrest people faster. And they have a lot of children to remove, and from what I've been told. And if they do not get the community support, and I even witnessed something today where a couple refused to get out of the car because they had the right to refuse, and the police officer was getting really frustrated and they wanted into the case, so they had me walk past him. But they have witnessed incidents like that where there is like a respect, and there are some teenagers, there is like a respect for the police department, and like a respect for the laws, and like a respect for the court. And it's my court case, and adults that have taught children, taught teens to act that way toward the police department, and toward the teachers, and toward the principals, and toward authority figures. And it's just not right what adults have done and what parents have done. And it's the job of a adult or a parental figure or a guardian or someone that they look up to, a teacher or a librarian or whoever it is, a family member, to set an example for that child. And if you don't respect the law and set an example, then the police department and the courts have a right to remove that child, or if that child acts up or commits a crime, they have a right to step in, and you have a right to turn that child over. A lot of things will be explained to me soon about what people have done, including my ex that's alive, and including the ex that's passed away, including my sister, and including the crisis center of Walker County that is in a lot of trouble. And they have tried to get me to go back to there, and the Walker County Crisis Center refused. Even social service has, despite what they've done. But we're going to have to remove everybody, including the staff, and the police stay there with me, and they refused that, and the way the scam wanted it. And there's a lot to this case that has not been right, and y'all are about to be arrested for it, and they need the community's effort and cooperation and support. If not, they will just do things a lot faster, and arrest and remove children a lot faster. A lot of kids are going to juvie, and there's going to be a lot of lawsuits that are going to be told about, and arrests made afterwards, and lawsuits be told about afterwards. But if they give you a charge, that charge is stuck, and you can't get out of it, but you can make it worse by not cooperating. And if a lawsuit is given and you're told about it, you cannot get out of it. You pay it, or you show that you can somehow pay it later, or either you get more charges. You cannot get out of it. It can only get worse. Anything that you're told, you cannot get out of it. It can only get worse. So, they need your cooperation and support, or everything will move faster when I'm removed, and everything will get worse. But like the couple refusing to get out of the car because they have a right to control the police department and tell the police officer what they can or cannot do. All this has gone too far, and police need your support, and they need your support to tell your children to do the right thing, and come with them when they come, or they also need your support to tell your children what is going on and what has happened, and what's going to happen when they show up, or the Hamilton County Social Service can do it themselves, and the police department can do it. But a lot of children are in a lot of trouble, and adults, and some teachers are in trouble, and even some principals are in trouble, and all this has gotten very serious and is very serious. They, for a community to live, they don't need a fast food place to stay open. Certain places they do not need to stay open. All this is going to get very, very serious immediately upon my removal. They do not like the community's attitude right now. They do not like what children have been taught by adults. They do not like the community's attitude whatsoever. And the way Morgan was treated is horrible, just because he was a friend of mine when we were little. And even some of our old friends that were mad that he was friends with me, and as in a certain Kim and some others, did some court orders that he had to stay away, and this and that, and a bunch of others, because they didn't want him to be friends with me when I was little. And they did all that they could to separate the two of us till we did separate growing up. But and they cut me down and harassed me till I just failed 6th grade and let it go, and tried to let it go. But the sister of one of the girls was in the next class, and so it didn't completely go away. And I spent my whole childhood and my whole teen years being harassed. But what everybody didn't know is I was also being harassed at home. And I was harassed even before I was born because my mom tried to abort me. And my twin died, but I was lucky to be alive. And parts of me didn't develop normally, like my heart and my lungs and parts of my brain, and they control my learning processes, my thinking process, and other things. But even though I look normal, I have a heart the size of a 3 or 4 year old, they say, and lungs that are small, probably about a 10-year-old. But so they're going to have to downsize my body, and the court case and the drugs made me gain about 60, 70 pounds more than what I did weigh and what I should weigh, and it's even less than that. But because of the drugs and what was done, and they shut off my thyroid, and I have overactive thyroid, and thank God that I do. My biological father is not a heavy man, and he does too. I have a overactive thyroid, and he doesn't have a weight problem. And I'm gonna have to downsize my body because my body is just way too heavy, and because of what was done to damage my blood pressure and slow down my heart, and even mechanically slow it down, because it was still beating too hard with the drugs to stay going and keep me alive, that they did it through this and would control it. But now it's just having problems. They're detoxing me still, but it's having problems. And as you can tell, my eyes, but I haven't been feeling it in the last few days, and it's in the case. I used to fall off the bed when I was little because of the stress I went through in school and at home. They think I would fall off the bed somehow and fall on my face, and they think it damaged my nerves. But in this court case, to continue what happened to the damaged nerves on my face, when my sister and some others found out, they did some more stuff through this and through drugs to damage my face. So it's hard for me to move my face. So sometimes if I do this, it's because I'm trying to bring up the blood where I do this, they say, is because I'm trying to bring up the blood flow. I still have a lot of blood clots, so my face sags, and even in school. And when I was a teen, people used to say, smile. You don't smile that much. Because it's hard. It's hard to smile. For some reason, my cheeks feel stiff. They've always have. But throughout this case, they just feel stiff, like I can't. Because the muscles are damaged and the nerves are damaged. Because of what happened. Also, with one of the drugs they gave me, and it's still in my body, the police say, makes my muscles weak. And so, when I get out of this and they get my blood flowing and they get my heart and they downsize my body and they fix all the muscles and the nerves, which they say can be fixed. They say that I won't be hungry. I only eat lots of times because they say eat. So after they bug me enough and it frustrates me, that's the only reason I was able to do this and have some facial mobility a little bit, because thinking about that they make me eat all the time when I don't want to eat, and they force it and they beg me, and through here they just nag me to death. They do it really, really low. That way it trained my brain to make it think it's a thought. And they were trying to make me go mentally ill, but I am very, very sane mentally, where I know the difference. And they're damnedest to try to make me mentally ill. And but to be quite honest, I am so mentally sane, it wouldn't work. And everybody who took a part in that, and took a part in what they tried to do to my daughters and my boys, and they tried to do it to my other two daughters because they are my daughters. So much so that when Megan came back to me, they did it in Nicholas's voice, because they have earbuds too. It's very, very similar to mine. And mine's just much more advanced because I keep getting upgraded and they keep the same ones in theirs. But they have very, very good ones. I got the best ones in the world. I get the way the case goes, I get the very best ones in the world. So to end the case, I've been told that they've had a fight to have the best ones in my ears to end the case, so they could say they also needed a test subject. So companies fought to have them in my ears throughout the years. But they need y'all's support. They had Megan climb up on, they did Nicholas's voice and had Megan to climb up on the shower, on the little shelf where you put the soap, and get a razor, because she said Nicholas told her to. They were taking a bath together, and they were both, I think she was 4 and he was 2, and said, climb up there and get that, and I had to go into the next room to get towels or something. And she said, climb up there, and she said that he said, but he couldn't talk all that well at the time, climb up there and get that, and cut yourself. Just don't die. And just don't die. That's what she said he said. And I said, Megan, he can't say enough to say all that. And she said, no, Nikki told me to climb up there. And they have video of it, because they had video in my bathroom and video in all my rooms. Yeah. And climb up there and get Mama's razor and cut yourself. And this is what the community is okay with. And lots of other things, including Kayla talking to herself, because they told her to talk to herself and make her think that she was crazy. And it was okay. And in her bedroom, and have a conversation with herself, because no one would talk to her at school. And climb up there and cut yourself. Just don't die. and she cut her finger real bad, and I went into the bathroom, and she said, Nikki told me to cut myself, but just don't die. And, but the kids have been drugged through all this, and they were drugged to be hyper, and drugged to this, and drugged to do that, and, they tried to make Kayla, sexually active, and that didn't work out so well. She didn't want any part of it, and she fought that one. And so to this day, they've had her checked, and she's never done any drugs. None of my kids have, nor have they been sexually active in any kind of way, but they have been sexually harassed by others, including the foster parents. But none of this was funny, but they need y'all support, and they need y'all's cooperation to end this, and the police are getting very frustrated, and I've seen it on them. They're tired of just shoving a lot of stuff off, and they're tired of letting stuff go, and they're only doing it so, and the courts are only doing it to set y'all up for the biggest charges, and a lot of people in the community that think that they are too good and never been in trouble before, and I go to church and this and that, and I'm a preacher, I'm a teacher, I got a college education, my mom is this, I've got this, we have, so, you know, we have money, we can this, and we can that, we can get a lawyer and fight this, and to be quite honest, you can't. You can't. This was a court case where they even tried to arrest Trump, and they tried to arrest Oprah, and they tried to arrest Obama, and they tried to arrest a bunch of judges, and they tried to arrest my lawyer, and they tried to arrest the police department, and shut down the police department, and shut down the courts, and shut down the White House. And it's a ridiculous case. And where they tried to even throw the president out of the White House. So none of this was a joke. None of it was a joke. And because my family heritage, they say, goes back to George Washington, none of this was ever a joke. But you can call the police department, and some things in the news, they cannot come out with it yet to go along with the scam, but they will later. And but you can call, they can't come out with the news, but you can call the police department and ask. And some things on the internet they can't come out with either, but you can call the police department and get it yourself. You can even tell me and show me what the police department sends, but the community doesn't even want to do that. And you can come to me and say, here's a video of Kayla, or send it to me, but no one in the community even wants to do that. And they don't want to help in any kind of a way. They want to give me food with drugs in it, and they know who tried to do that. And none of this was funny. None of this was a pun. And I have not been drugged for a little while, and the police department has been drug testing me, and so they know for a fact. But you can also call and find out the results of any of that. You can call Erlanger, and they'll send you some stuff. Walker County Courthouse is open to talk about what happened with that. And that court case that was fraud that was going on over there, that was part of a scam. They to scam me of my lawsuit and to harass my children away. department wants certain places. Alright, get it right. Certain places are closing. What places are that? This is the pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. Don't say you did it. Why? Because you did it could mean, in this court case, and this is coming from the police department because they told me to say, you did it could mean, you did it, you charged us all. You're closing all of our places. Like a hot chocolate place. Some customers were really, really rude and ugly, and the police department heard them make the comment. So, what's going to happen? The police department's going to set them up in other ways. They also checked their cell phone off of my earbuds. Yeah, I also walk around cameras. Also, the police department has put in cameras in some of these places. But some places, even small business owners in the court case folded. What does folded mean? It means they gave in. But they allowed the community, the problem is they allowed the community to keep their place open. And they're in deep shit for it. It's the pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, New York. And even that bitch in the car right there, she's going to get it too. Because I also pick up tags off of these earbuds. Yeah, I'm the test subject for the Secret Service for these stupid earbuds. And they have protected me and they have set people up. There, truth hurts. It's the pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. Why? Because this is Fraud City. Chattanooga, Tennessee is Fraud City. They had to make sure they put in the best. Plus, Joseph Marinello, my ex, and my lawyer made sure they're the best in the world were put in. Because this is so much fraud. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, so much fraud in the stupid court case. This city is in so much trouble. It's the pain harassment case along with a bunch of others. And, oh, the police department wants to tell what my ex and his family did today. They actually tried to stop my heart again on here and drugs. They tried to illegally stop my heart. They illegally did sexual harassment in the court case today, this morning. And I'll tell you about it. They'll tell you what that means. Because they're going to set some people up again. Because they always fall for it and always want to do it. And it's been done for years. And over it, before my soon-to-be husband, which is Officer Pelez, he's a Homeland Security police officer, before we can even be together, I have to have surgery. And I have to have surgery on my heart and lungs and everything. I have to have surgery on every part of my body. And they also tried to make it so I could never be with a man again and damage me so bad. Shane just said, like you've been with that many anyway. Thanks, Shane. He's in my earbud. He said you're welcome for that because he wanted to date me when we were younger, Officer Williams. He's on the website today. He's also going to people and questioning them. They don't like him very well. They also don't like my old friend Morgan. Officer Morgan. Yeah. They never liked him in school. He just said, Morgan did. Not really. They didn't like me either. We were friends. It's the pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And they're talking to me on my earbuds while I'm talking. My brain has been trained where actually several police officers, is a bit controversial, where because of the court case, and they wanted so much harassment, and my brain had to deal with harassment. It had to deal with so many conversations going at one time through my earbud because of the court case. Had to deal with so much abuse, and it actually shut down. I'm brain dead over drugs and the trauma that my brain went through over the court case. My thoughts go to computer, and through the court case, they know my thoughts from the chip in my brain. And they also, and this is more advanced, actually, the chip in my brain was actually created for terrorists. The federal government created it for terrorists. And these are, I'm the test subject for these, for this, the president's, men. Secret Service, yeah, them. One of them came here to see me, one of his big guys. And he's actually part of my family. They trace back a family history. And along a bunch of police officers aside of my father's family, the father I didn't really know growing up. I just knew a name, and he was a boyfriend, and the whole story didn't make any sense, and there were rumors and so forth. Would have been nice. Know the truth. He kind of looks a little bit like me. It's the painter aspect case for Georgia, Tennessee, New York. I also have some castles. They did a family history. Well, on my father's side, way back then, they had money. Well, it went back to George Washington. Then it went back to some other people. Went back further. Well, they couldn't even trace anybody back to George Washington. They also did blood tests because they had hair samples of his, and they did blood tests. Oh shit! Because also Oprah Winfrey did her family history, and she had the government do hers. She has the money paid for it. Plus, they were a little curious because hers went back to George Washington. So her family was slaves by George Washington, and went all the way back to there. And this is a family history background that only the government can do. Not everybody can pull up samples that they have in the archives, Smithsonian and stuff. This is a different kind of court case, and it was a different kind of family history background too. And this is a court case to shut down a bunch of white supremacists. Actually, somewhere along the line, Oprah Winfrey and I have the same grandmother. She's on one side of the family and I'm on the other. But somewhere along the line, she's like a way distant cousin. So she got involved in the court case. Yeah, she's so pretty. I always liked her. And so yeah, actually it was one of my favorite shows to watch ever since I was a kid in school. I just didn't like the yelling that they did, like, I guess in the 80s she did. But when she stopped trying to be Phil Donahue, I liked her shows better. I didn't like where everybody was yelling at each other, and she looked like she had a headache every show, and wanted to scream herself. So I liked it whenever the shows kind of got a little tamer. But that's always been like one of my favorite shows. Favorite things to watch on TV. I'll watch that and I'm done with pretty much all day. Weather on the news, and I'm good. And the kids can watch what they want to watch. That was always the rule. But this is the pain. Oh, I've been away from my kids for years. I've been homeless. Do you know that I own Drew Barrymore's beach house? Oh, to get back to my ex. They were arrested, the family. Oh, shit. My former sister. Oh, no, she's not. Because they said she wasn't. They're not family. Yeah, you are. We didn't get married, but I have 3 kids with him. So, yeah. You sort of are. But they got arrested for sexual harassment. Because they don't want to opt out. They'll probably be kept for 24 hours and say, shut up. And also all their lawyers got fired. Well, actually their lawyers quit. Courts kind of fired them and said, turn everything in. They said, okay. And on the website, they're talking and telling. Because they're trying to get out of charges. They got paid. And actually, I'm working 480 hours over the court case and have billions of dollars of lawsuit from the federal government. And can't do a damn thing. I'm homeless. I'm denied medically, and I have been for years. And for almost 10 years, I could have had almost $3 million, and plus a lawsuit. bunch of lawsuits here in Georgia and Tennessee area. I lived in New York when when the case became a case. And the case is to shut down a bunch of white supremacist groups and also to arrest some terrorists. I have a chip in my brain that was created for terrorists, and it is the most advanced. And it actually causes torture. It causes torture. And you hear about these things and you think, but it really does. And the police department made me pee all over myself and cause sexual harassment. And then they play these games. Well, the charges get harassed away. And this shut down a bunch of white supremacist groups. Well, I pulled in my ex. He's black. Why would he support and why would a bunch of blacks, the whole black community, support a bunch of white supremacists? Well, kind of like the YMCA. There's an employee at the YMCA. I'll tell you about her. She got a job promotion illegally. Why? Because she lied to the police department for the other employees. And actually, that YMCA is supposed to be shut down. It's illegally open in court. A lot of places are. This gas station is. A lot of places. Or even that Nissan place right there. They're kind of hanging on a shoestring. Some places don't want to be talked about in the court case. And some places are saying, yeah, go ahead. And sometimes the courts, if you do so much, the courts are saying talk. But what it means is it's hanging on a shoestring. I could actually own that Nissan. It's a huge dealership. And actually own this gas station. And you know what? For 3 years, more than 3 years or so, I've been homeless total. I've been away from my kids for, I don't know, 3 during that whole time. I haven't seen my kids. I haven't lived with my kids in a very long time. Because charges get harassed away. The ex didn't want to pay child support. Also, they tried to and they did court order. Illegally court order. All this is illegally. I'm walking to a storage facility that I own that they're refusing to close. And a lot of these places got promotions. The employees got promotions. And through the white supremacist groups, they also got pay raises and better benefits. Oh, we love Satan. We love Satan. That's what it is. It's a cult. Those groups are cults. We love Satan. And that's what everybody's saying, basically. Well, at least to me, you know, I was always taught that those groups are cults. Well, actually, they are. I've seen it. They pretty much took over this whole fucking community and all the other communities and parts of New York. And what they did, they paid people off and put it in their accounts to lie about lawsuits that I was getting, to lie about my inheritance, to lie about my children, to say that I was mentally ill, to say this, to say that, to say nobody had stolen stuff, to tell my kids nobody had stolen stuff. For the foster parents that my children were with, they got paid to abuse my children, to steal all their stuff. They walked, and the police department picked them up with absolutely nothing in their hands. They even told my daughter to put her pencil down because she was coloring. There was a truck that pulled over there, and the police department told me not to go, so I stopped. And a lot of people, there's rumors that people want to steal my phone because this cannot be aired on the news. They can't air my court case. I've been in it for almost 10 years, but they can't air it. But what it is I can do the New York Times and Oprah Winfrey truck stopped. I should have got it on camera, but he's slowing down a whole lot. I have a lot of threats. Police department said, get a video. Right there, that's the guy. Can't get him, but they'll get him on the camera. Sometimes people actually he pulled over here and stopped, and then went over there and slowed down a whole bunch. And sometimes they'll pull up beside me and they'll try to say something. So I don't know if he was just turning around, but he was going a little bit too slow when he got into the main road. Even the police department thought so, because I have cameras on me on here, and somehow they work with this thing. But all this was created basically for terrorists, and that's for the Secret Service. And I'm the only one in the world that has them in it. And for a long time I knew something was going on. I just don't know what in the fuck was going on. I've been given drugs to shut my lungs off. Oh, who asked for me to be given that drug again? So I can't talk and can't breathe. Maybe my former sister-in-law. My daughter actually died from that, and so have I, through the court case. We have died from the drug to shut our lungs off. The police department tell you how hard I had to breathe. It's way worse than asthma. My daughter did it. She didn't have as much as I did. I have a heart the size of a 3 or 4-year-old's heart, because my mom tried to abort me. She killed my twin, never told me. I have small lungs. They made me gain weight because she had shut off my thyroid in the court case. I'm about 40 or 50, about 50 pounds heavier than what I should be. I was before this case started, about 50 pounds heavier, because they shut off my thyroid and they damaged my heart, my lungs, and so forth. And it's screwing around. I'm kind of like a diabetic. So, because I'm homeless, because I barely have any food to eat, and I don't have any money, I worked 40 hours and made $209. Well, how does $209 come from 40 hours? Well, because my mean ex that's jealous because I'm engaged to a Homeland Security police officer, and I can't be with him because of him and the rest of the community. I can't go home with him, nor have I ever. I can't even go home with my kids, and they're removed from the court case. His first lawsuit he won was $5 million. It was like 2 years ago, to try to remove me from the court case. So I want to marry her, let her come home with me. God already charged the state, so he was able to sue. And so were some others. The only catch is they had to give it all to me. And they said, if you're going to give her a ring, well, I want you to get a ring with this and give it all to her. That's what they harassed him. He said, fine. He spent the whole damn thing on an engagement ring. $5 million engagement ring. And they're keeping me from the ring. It's not on my finger. They're keeping me from the ring. And him. Yeah, that's what they're thinking about. It's the ring. Not, I'm sleeping outside in 20-degree weather and it's supposed to rain today. Tonight it's supposed to rain. And I have been for years. I also stayed out inside in 90-something degree weather and slept in it outside on the concrete. And this area is not a good area downtown. The police department has to sit back and watch me. I've been attacked. My nose is broken because I wouldn't let a guy rape me. How about all kinds of stuff? It's a pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, New York. There's going to be a mass arrest. They're arresting terrorists. They're arresting a bunch of white supremacists in this court case that they pulled in. They're arresting some guys that they didn't know was involved in 9/11 that they found out. They're arresting a lot of people. And these white supremacists, y'all are so mean, Chattanooga, for not allowing everybody to get arrested. Because the way the court case goes, the ones who illegally, and the court's allowed it to happen, set them up, illegally took most of my paycheck and put it in somebody else's account illegally, because charges get harassed away. So they done all kinds of shit, like claim me on their income tax, claim my 5 children, and we're adopting twins, so we're adopting 2, so it's 7 children. But they don't have their social security number. How'd they get my social security numbers? Illegally. This whole court case is illegal, and they got mine and my children's. My other ex has passed away. I had 2 different fathers with my children. The other one passed away. He's what started the court case. I was inheriting, and he wanted to give me almost $3 million. It's the pain harassment case. Oprah Winfrey's writing the book. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Police department wants me to. They get a little scared, and sometimes they get hints, or they get threats. Get her off. And besides, this road is not a good road. I've had too many threats and too many of this. And that guy with that truck, he had his window halfway rolled down. And this cold weather, you don't drive around with your window halfway rolled down. So that made me a little suspicious, and the police department. They tell me what to do, what not to do. It's the pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And even the Secret Service is here in this area. You will get a huge over 20-hour special of how many children and what children are being adopted from social service, all the children that are going to juvie, what people got paid off by the white supremacists to lie, to threaten, to say things, to do things, like the staff at the YMCA. Why? Cover up for shit. They got paid off by lawsuits I was suing these white supremacists for. They also built apartments in the city. They also built coffee shops. They also built all kinds of other places over the years, even places I don't even know that they built, because I was in New York. I'm waiting to go back to New York. I have a beach house that Drew Barrymore formerly owned that she inherited, and she didn't want, and she didn't need. It was kind of when she was a little bit, partying, and when she got it. So, sometimes I'm told that it kind of happens. It's happened to me in this court case. Yeah, I'll tell you about that too. Oh, Elton John has made some songs. And, this court case has gone on for almost 10 years. But, yeah, I get to be friends with Drew Barrymore if she quits drinking. Homeland Security's watching her. They're babysitting her for me, because that's one of my provisions in my soon-to-be husband, because he's a Homeland Security police officer. And she's not having very much fun with that. Also, Gracie Gold, former Olympic figure skater. She's a silver medalist. And her sister is a figure skater. She just didn't go as pro as her. They both retired. Gracie Gold suffered through eating disorder, and depression because of her eating disorder. And she's been here to say hi. Also, Oprah Winfrey last year came here. Well, year before last year, I think. And over the court case, everybody has kicked me out. I can't go to any homeless place. I can't get any help. They don't give me all this and all this and all this and all these things. I have to go buy them, and then they get torn up, and then they get stolen. And that's where the court case goes. We've had everything stolen. Just a few months ago, right before it got cold, everything got locked up in the court case illegally. Yeah, thanks, Life Storage. Find out why it got locked up illegally. Life Storage did some court orders to help me in the case. A lot of companies did court orders. And there was a company, and they were working with the courts on getting a reduced lawsuit and reduced charges. If you help her, and you can get their employees to do this, like U-Haul even did it, and other places, even car dealerships, all kinds of places. Because I never really lost my driver's license. I never really lost anything, even car insurance. But through the court case, they took my car insurance away. I actually have car insurance through the government. They took it away. And how is that? How they take something away that's court ordered? Well, community doesn't tell me what the court orders are. Like nobody, even though they legally can. And they don't want to turn anybody in, even though the police department knows what they are. Including this donut shop. They're really mad at it. Yeah, with the donuts. Actually, I don't like their donuts. I bought a few. I don't like the feeling. I think I threw them away. But yeah, with $200-something, $209, working 40 hours. Yeah, I'm working during all this. Being drugged, almost passing out at work, shutting my lungs off at work, and having to keep my lungs going while I'm lifting boxes. And they had me doing the harder job. Yeah. Also, I'm the only one that really ticks the police department off. I'm just kind of like, charge them, because this is stupid that I got to do this. I'm the only one in there that does not have a locker at work. Where do I set my stuff? And I have to get ready at work. Nobody else does. Everybody else has a car. They share each other's lockers. They made sure everybody had a locker. Whenever I said, you can have one. Why? Because you're a temp. But, like, all the temps got them right after. At that time. Like, all the temps got them. Especially that I work with. Like, everybody has them. And they want to tell you about that. They actually got paid. More harassment and more they were ignoring the court orders, the legal court orders, and doing illegal court orders, more they were paid off. They actually had money directly deposited into their account. You either had to ask for it, or you either had to be part of the court case, and you had to try to sue. But do you know that these places and people have so much charges because so many people are in trouble? My life has been threatened so much, and I'm a miracle to be alive, I'm told. All I know is what in the hell was I going through, and why? Why was my daughter having a hard time breathing? I thought she was going to die in front of me, and I was being told not to take her to the hospital, and I was being drugged myself. And then we were having all of our stuff stolen. Police department was going in our places when we were asleep and doing hint things to let us know, like eating our food, eating our snacks. And one day my son smelled like men's cologne, like really expensive men's cologne. When I woke up, that was a little scary. He was only a few months old. And I was breastfeeding him. So he was right next to me. So he slept right next to me. And nobody came over to the house, and I don't have any boyfriends, and never have. So it didn't make any sense. But a lot of things have not made any sense in this court case. And like games were played on my phone because the police did that. Officer Norton did that from New York. I just didn't know who Officer Norton was. I was being told that they were coming in, like, that men were coming in when I was sleeping, and they were. And my daughter woke up, and every place we were at, my daughter woke up and had a vision, but they had drugged her, but she had woke up out of the drug accidentally. And we knew that people were coming in, and I was actually sleeping. I didn't know who, and the police department would tell me who. I was actually sleeping in front of the door, guarding the door. And because the police department was saying that we were supposed to be raped, and especially me. The way the court case was supposed to end, I was supposed to be raped so much that I was supposed to come out of this being pregnant. And actually they wanted me to be pregnant, lied to me, never received medical treatment, have AIDS, has people with AIDS do it. This is how sick and twisted my ex is and his family and everybody else in this court case. I was supposed to have AIDS, and I was being told all this on here. But then I was being told this wasn't in here, neither was this. And Georgia Social Service is in deep shit for this. And the police department wants to explain. And the courts do. My lawyer does, and everybody does. Homeland Security, everybody. I'm marrying the man. They also didn't tell me I had to charge. Well, they kind of did. But then they also said I couldn't. So I didn't know what was going on. If you don't know what's going on, you're being lied to by every single person around you because they're getting paid off. They're having fun doing things to your children. They're having fun doing things to you. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. But I was supposed to be raped. My kids were supposed to be raped. We were all supposed to get AIDS, I was being told, and all this was going on right as soon as I got to Georgia area from New York, because we got pushed out of New York. In New York, I was told we were supposed to be raped, and my daughter was supposed to be raped, and all this other mess, and went to the police department, and they were saying, I don't know what's going on. But they were telling me they're here, because that's what was supposed to happen. We had bugs placed in our apartment we were in, like, millions of bugs, not thousands. They were everywhere, and it was only when we left. It was disgusting. The police department had a place to run out real quick. there were so many bugs, roaches. It stunk so bad, I didn't know what was going on. I had to take bleach and spray the walls and hit shoes 24/7. Hit the stupid bugs with shoes, and I bleached the walls and bleached the floors and cleaned the bleach. And hey, you ever have roaches? Shoes and bleach work really good. The bleach just is really strong, but I think it scares the roaches away. I'm not sure. I didn't know what to do. But they were actually placing them in there. And they were also stealing our clothes. They were doing all kinds of stuff. But somehow they didn't spray. They only pretend, and they sprayed water. They didn't spray for the roaches. Instead, they fed them and put more in there every time I killed them. This went on for a while. And several months. And then they said, we're done. And New York's not doing as much as what the people in the case wanted to do. And Georgia and Tennessee wanted to have some fun. So Georgia, no, not the police department. The people, the residents wanted to have some fun with this and wanted to abuse us in person. So we got sent back here. The Walker County Crisis Center is in deep shit. Police department wants to tell every single transgression. They're a huge part of when the case really started whenever I came with that part. And even though they were already involved in the case, a lot of these places like the YMCA demanded and accepted donations, which was basically stolen money from the bank. It was money I was suing these white supremacists over these almost 10 years. I was suing these men for, these women for, these groups that they're involved in. Instead, they paid people off. They donated the money. They gave the money away, and the court said, don't get rid of it. They were going around telling churches, even the church I grew up in, don't accept the money. So the churches were lying. The aquariums were lying, the zoos were lying, missions were lying, homeless places were lying. Everybody was lying. Schools were lying. And they'll tell you all the places that lied. Pretty much every place around town and other areas. Away from here, even away from here. And some places said, we want some. And people started saying, we want some, even before I came, and I couldn't figure out why all the women at the crisis center were getting paid to be mean to us, and they started dancing around the crisis center with paychecks. Woohoo, we got it! We got it! And the kids were saying, our moms are professional hitmen. This is so much fun. I'm going to be a professional hitman whenever I grow up. We got paid so much money, and they want to tell the truth. And also the staff got paid to abuse me. They drugged my food at the crisis center, and I had diarrhea and throwing up all night at times. Where I had it coming out of both ends. They made me so sick because they put it in my food. They put it in all my children's food. And they want to tell. Also ticked me off when they drugged my youngest daughter, that was 2, down the hallway a few times to make me angry by her arm. One of the staff members picked her up and drug her by her arm down the hallway. And they did a lot of other stuff. They stole things at the crisis center. Not just the women staying there, the children. Staff. And I just came from New York. And what we had was what we had. And they were giving them a lot of stuff. Plus they stole stuff from us. My first 3 children, their father's black. And the other 2... the last 2 of their fathers are Latino, a little bit Latino and Italian. And he's about a 4th Latino. He's Puerto Rican and Italian. And the rest Italian. And so all of my kids are a little bit biracial. Plus the man I'm marrying, he's biracial. He's Latino and white, Caucasian. And the children that were adopted, they're Latino. But they're actually family of his, but I have never got to hold the babies. I only passed one, and I was asked in here. I never got to hold them. Didn't know their names. I didn't know why this older man was holding up a baby and trying to get my attention. The baby was only a few months old, but 2 months old, and holding the baby up for me to get his attention, for him to get my attention, and I couldn't figure out why. Why is he doing this baby this way? He was just gonna, and well, it turns out they were twins, and I got asked later if I wanted them, and actually the police department can talk to me because I don't know my own thoughts. I can't read a book. I can't do any logical thinking. I can't do any of that. I do not know my own thoughts. Why was that done? To get me for fraud. Because the way the court case went, if I was ever charged with fraud, or if I was ever charged with anything, I lost everything I was getting. I'm getting a lawsuit for billions, but I'll get it back at the end. I get my man. I get my billions. I get this. I get a house. I get a bed. I get a bathroom. I get my children. I get to see them. I haven't seen them in a very, very, very long time. I sleep in a sleeping bag. I'm about to go in this storage unit. I won't show the number. But I'm going to get my sleeping bag and go outside in 20-degree weather. It may get less than that. It's supposed to rain a little bit. And a few nights I actually slept in the rain. In the rain, and it was cold because it was a court order. And I actually do what the police department tells me to do. And remember how stupid it is. Why? Because I'm legally brain dead. My thoughts are off. My thoughts go to a computer through this thing and through my earbuds. They have trained my brain, and it'll still do it whenever I'm out. And if they can't turn my thoughts back on through surgery and drugs, then they will have to do this, and they're hoping for the rest of my life I don't rely on this. My brain doesn't rely on this. And I can think for myself, but I can't think for myself, and they don't allow me to know my thoughts. I think they just don't allow me to know my thoughts. Through the court case, I can't read a book. I cannot read a book and know what I say, know what I think. I don't have any thoughts for myself. What it is whatever the police department tells me, or they want me to say, or the court case wants me to say, like telling women at work and the supervisor that they're all jealous bitches. And everybody's a jealous bitch everywhere I go. Well, they are. And they're all in a lot of trouble. And he moved me. And then for some odd reason, my paycheck got cut short. And they want to tell about that. That was all a setup. And I also was court-ordered at one time through this court case to pay child support. Well, I paid it. This time around, the court said, no, you can pretend she's supposed to pay child support. And you can pretend she's losing her children. They're being adopted, and they did in court. No, they did in court. They did in court. Actually tell me, and all my kids were being adopted out. It was fraud court, where the judge, social service, my ex and his family, the other exes passed away, and that family never came. The family couldn't do it. They're a little bit better. And police department made me say that. Sorry for and everyone else. But we're a little mad at y'all, and so am I. And well, the ones here, my ex here and his family, kind of did a whole lot. So did my sister. No one talk about that. They kind of stirred up a whole lot with the community. They actually arrested them today over sexual harassment on here and here. And they'll probably keep them for 24 hours or whenever they tell the truth. And or when the police department says they can go. They usually arrest his nieces, my ex's nieces. They don't keep them long. And they kind of let their mom and their grandmother do it all, and their uncle, which is my ex, do everything, and they kind of, I have anything to do with it. Yeah, you did. And they also accepted money. But there's police department setting them up, plus all their friends. And they have some of them working with me and doing things. Working where I work, because she works here. And they have them doing things. And, but yeah, $209 for 40 hours. That doesn't hardly give me enough to pay for the YMCA. I'm not supposed to pay for, but I do. And for my monthly thing for it, for the storage unit here, which is $160 something a month, and the YMCA $61, and bus and my phone, monthly pass for the bus and my phone, barely gives me enough to pay for anything. I barely eat all day, and I can't lose weight, but I have to eat something. So the police department has me eat a lot of snacks and sweets. Why? Because I'm a little bit like a diabetic, and they can't treat me. I can't go to the hospital. I've been denied my rights to go to the hospital. I cannot go to the doctor like everybody else. I can't go to the hospital. I can't go to the DMV. I can't file my taxes. I can't go to the police department and ask them what's going on. I can't call Tony up. I can't call any police department up, any police officer. They have to do the harassment when the courts say they can waive, like the fireman the other day. And they made me say yesterday for harassment. I said, no, it wasn't. And my thoughts, and they said, okay, the other day. And when the police can do harassment, because the judge says, go ahead, ease her up some of the pain, the lies, and the fraud, and the abuse. You can do a little something. So a fireman waved and smiled. And I harassed him. I was told to harass him back and stuck my tongue at him. He laughed. And sometimes the police officers have me to do things, and unconsciously I just react to them because they train my brain to go along to this. And this controls my emotions. Through blood clots in my eyes, and they'll explain it, I can't even cry. I can't even try to cry over all this because it hurts my head. It lowers my blood pressure in my brain. I have severe blood clots and severe blood pressure problems in a lot of parts of my brain that they did it through this and drugs. And I can't cry. I very, very, very rarely can cry. And I'm a crier and I'm an emotional person. I very, very rarely can cry. I can't get upset unless I'm told to. I tell on people. I tell people off when I'm told to, when the police department wants me to, and the courts and the lawyers. Like the YMCA, you're in a lot of trouble. I was thinking about crying. Now I want to cry, and the police department says don't try to cry. Because what it does, it brings down my blood pressure, and it hurts my head like a really, really, really severe headache. Like oh my gosh, I can feel it coming down. And it makes my eyes hurt. It makes my forehead hurt. And actually, it's making my eyes hurt right now. Because I was thinking about my children and crying and everything that's going on. It makes my eyes hurt really bad, and they're hurting really bad. And then they start getting squinty because I have a hard time opening them. And they get blurry like right now. So I'm doing that. And my head hurts. No heart around here. My eyeballs are hurt. My throat. You know how when you cry and you feel it in different parts? Well, it hurts really bad. Like worse than a headache. Worst migraine ever. And they'll tell you about that. And about a lot of stuff. It's the pain and harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. It's been kept out of the news. But I can do this. I can do this and say you can call and get the website yourself. Because why? The community in the court case, the other side, not my side. The bad side, the bad people side. Like everybody in the community that's standing up for each other. We love the white supremacists. Yay! Them. And they've started loan companies, fake. Some places didn't even pay the loan because they knew. You can't go to the police department or the courts and say, they didn't pay me back. You did it illegally, and you have a business open illegally. That's a little bit hard to do. You weren't supposed to give them that money in the first place, nor were you supposed to open the business. Nobody was supposed to build anything in Hamilton County. in a lot of areas. In a lot of areas in Georgia, Tennessee, some in New York, some in other places, some overseas. We're not supposed to build anything at all. Said, you want to build this apartment building? You can't. Because that's her money that you're building it with. That's supposed to go to her at the end of the court case. So what the courts did, they set everybody up and said, okay, throw it into the community. So what's going to happen is I'm going to own that apartment. And some apartments have people living in them. They're going to have to shut the apartments down and kick everybody out because they're in there illegally. Everybody that's in this storage facility is in here illegally, but me, because I own it. Even though they wanted to pretend I don't, because they got paid off. They got job promotions. They got paid off. They're standing for everybody else in the community. We support each other. We support this chocolate store that we're going into to get hot chocolate. Overpriced hot chocolate. That's probably pretty good. I like hot chocolate. Had some today, and the police officer drove by, and mine's just little packages from, Nestle. I didn't have that nice hot chocolate. And if I go in anywhere, they've drugged my food. Panera Bread has drugged my food. Five Guys, the restaurant, has drugged my food. Arby's wanted to drug my food. They're still checking into that one. And a lot of other places. And I've had food out of the garbage, food with rat feces, food, I'll tell you what the drug was and what it did. I can't go in any fast food place. I can't go in McDonald's. Only thing I can do is, and I have not eaten a meal all day. Not one meal. I'm getting kind of hungry because the police department is making me think about it. I tried not to think about it. And for a long time, I went days without eating anything at all. I only drank water. And I was running from the police department because the community kitchen in Chattanooga, Tennessee, they had charges. They were getting paid to not feed me. So I went all week. And when I would go in, because they were drugging my food and they were drugging my water in the car to make me pass out, so I almost didn't care if I ate. And the police department had to put me stuff in my water to keep weight on and to keep vitamins in my water because I wasn't eating anything. I would go 4 days and not eat anything at all, hardly. And because nobody wanted me to eat. I just watch everybody else eat. And they were bringing pizza up there and all sorts of stuff. Going inside the kitchen. Oh, there's a party going on. Yeah, all night, all day. Party, party, party. Here's some chicken. Here's this. Here's that. Here's all kinds of stuff. And they wouldn't give me anything. They would drive off and go, you're not getting none. Hurry up. And if they saw me walk out, they'd give it to everybody else that was camping out around the community kitchen in front of the police department doing drugs and selling drugs and everything. Because charges get harassed away so we could have a ball. And they're actually one girl was doing meth running from the police department, running from the cameras. Sores all over her body doing meth. And the police people were coming up there trying to help her and all the other drug addicts. Well, I'm in this court case and I really didn't get one sleeping bag when people were saying we have 50 sleeping bags and oh my gosh, I don't know how many backpacks from all this. And they're laughing. The news got that. And they gave me none. They passed them out real quick. I already have one. I don't care. She's coming up here. She's 3 or 4 people away. Take one. And then when I get up there, we have no more. They're just handing them out to whoever. Take it, take it, take it. And that happened with everything. Blankets, everything. Take it, take it, take it. She's coming up here. She's coming up here. And I hear that. She's coming up here. Hurry. Take it, take it, take it, take it. And so, yeah. And they stole stuff out of my van. My van got so torn up, the police had to take it. Actually, firewood was placed under one night where they wanted to burn it up. And that was running from the police department. And I've had a lot of gun threats. There's been some shootings in my sleep, and they had to keep me asleep by these and keep me asleep by this because they control my emotions. So they can actually freeze my body, and they've done it. And they usually do it when nobody's around. And they freeze my body, and they can give me my drug that they need to give me because I can't see them give it to me. So they have to give me extra of my sort of like insulin. It's not really, but it keeps me alive. And I can't go to the hospital and get it. So sometimes they have to say, well, don't go to the store. Go ahead and go to the storage. Stay for a little while. Stay, and they tell me, they say, do this or do that or play a little game on your phone for a little bit. And what happens is they freeze me. And they did in the shower when I stayed at a place. And I won't tell about that. And what they did is they exchanged a pad for a pad that I gave back to her. And I was taking a shower with the other girls. And what they did is they took a picture of my head. And the police department wouldn't let them take a picture of anything else. But I was frozen. Almost like frozen in time. I had no consciousness of it had ever happened. It's almost like time left. It's like you stop a movie. And time left. And it's really sickening what they've done to me and done to this court case. And then they do what they got to do, and they're out the door. And that's sometimes how they came in at night. My children also had the chip in their brain to see if they really wanted to come back to mommy. Because there's people that wanted to adopt my children to get a paycheck. This is how sick this court case is. They abused me, abused my children, lied and said that I drugged them, lied that and said that I did all this, and Georgia Social Service helped them with it. Yeah. They helped them with it. They want to explain all this. They also made up a bunch of shit about mental illness. I'm marrying a Homeland Security police officer. Being awarded by Trump and Obama. I'm getting the mobile, some sort of peace prize. And some sort of peace prize. And they play around with me like that because I don't like to say it. I don't like to talk about that. I just want my kids. I don't even like to talk about the lawsuit. I've had so many threats and everything. I don't like to talk about that. I just want to see my kids. I want to cry again. And the police said don't, because they know, because they can see a visual of my body and how my blood pressure changes and the flow in my blood and so forth. And that's how they were able to stop it and cause blood clots. They can actually manipulate my nerves and muscles, and they'll explain it and stop the flow of blood and so forth. That's how they cause blood clots. They'll explain it, and sometimes it got so bad, and what it does is it actually causes pain, and it caused so much pain. Everything that they did, they've killed me lots of times, and they got tired of the police department resuscitating me because they wanted me to be dead. And that was right before I started working, when I was being left to starve to death, and the police department had to sneak stuff to keep me alive and some vitamins. And what they had to do with the vitamins is they had to give me as least as what they could give me. So it's not like I got these awesome vitamins. It was just basically weight gainer and a bare minimum that I could get of everything. Even they wouldn't even give me painkillers when they were doing things to my nerves and muscles and causing pain intentionally. And shutting my lungs off and everything else. But, yeah, I lost you. It's the pain harassment case with Georgia, Tennessee, New York. And I actually died a lot in the court case. Somehow I pressed a button trying to take something off the screen. And I apparently pressed Candy Crush. And then sometimes they test to God, if God really wants, because they were saying God doesn't want this to happen, or we wouldn't be able to resuscitate her so much, and I want to cry again. And the police department can't allow me to cry at times, and sometimes they can. I want to cry, and they're telling me not to cry because it is hurting my head. But I'm gonna bawl. And I'm really tired of all this. I'm tired of the abuse, and I'm tired of people laughing in the community, laughing. I want my children. I want out of this court case, and I'm almost out. But it's a really ridiculous story, and it's really ridiculous court case. And it's really ridiculous of the community and the other side of the court case to do this to my children and I, one family, to abuse me so much. And I have to go through all this, go to work, and I can't even go anywhere and stay. because they're in trouble and they want to harass charges away and they want to be mean. It's the pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And there was once that they tested God to see if God thought I should be alive. They thought if God wanted me back alive after 20 minutes, and they said, don't. They gave me so much pain. It was around Easter, and they want to tell. It was almost 2 years ago. They said when they were trying to kill me so much, and they'll explain how it went. It was actually a community through here and through here. More people yelled, more people lied, more people did things, more people kept me from having food, more they did things on here, and more drugs they gave me. And sometimes they sneak stuff in my food. And they didn't care what they were giving me. Yeah, the staff at the community kitchen and others. Even stuff that was donated. If I ate anything at all, it had drugs in it to kill me. And the police department just had to watch it happen because they needed charges on everyone. I had to go through what I had to go through to arrest a bunch of white supremacists on this side of the court case. It's such a scam. And I had to go through what I went through, and the police department had to make me go through it, or my children would have been adopted out. And they were abused in foster care, and they were supposed to be hand-picked by people in the community, and my daughter was supposed to be raped and given AIDS, and basically they wanted her to work in a strip club and be on drugs, and she's a good girl, and my boy's about the same, dealing drugs. They want them all to be fucked up, and that's who they were going to adopt them to. So they couldn't have them adopted. The foster parents were a smidge better. Not much. And I'll explain. They didn't do drugs. My children fought it, but they didn't like the way the foster parents were forcing my now 16-year-old to dress. They were removed last year. They wanted her to be raped and date. She didn't want to do that. She didn't want to smoke pot or drink. And they'll tell. But they left foster care with absolutely nothing, all 5 of them, not even a pencil. My daughter was drawing. I was told to put the pencil down. She likes to draw, and reading and drawing from my oldest daughter. What happened was at the time she just turned 8. I miss everybody's birthdays again. She just turned 8, and she's gifted. She's a bit of a tattletale. And the last 2. The first 3 have spent half of their life, well, more than half of their life or so in the court case. More than half of their life, I'll say. Well, 10 years. And the other 2, the last 2, biologically mine, were born into this court case. And they'll tell. When Nicholas was born, police department wanted to, I lost my breath. I'm losing my breath. My heart started beating faster to circulate blood because whenever I was getting upset and I told you my head was hurting, I was dropping my blood pressure. So what happens, the police department is telling me to say this, my heart compensates and it starts trying to beat faster. And I was feeling that in my chest because I have a heart the size of a 3 or 4 year old's heart. Because my mom tried to abort me. I was supposed to be a twin. And she lied to me my whole life and about who my father was. I grew up with a father that was not my father. And it was really my sister's father. And it was a joke in school and a joke growing up. And I was the boyfriend's. And she didn't want me. And she slapped me in the face one time when we were, I think, junior high, or I was early in high school. And she slapped me and said, I never wanted you. You were never supposed to be born. I thought, what? But I knew there was a boyfriend right before him. And I knew that they had torn up all his pictures and all his letters, and I knew no last name. And I didn't know what he did for a living. Nobody ever told me. He's a heart surgeon, actually. So, but my twin was born dead and deformed. Well, I look normal. So we'll never tell her. She looks enough like, I looked enough like my mom to get away with it. will never tell her. But the only problem is my personality is a lot different than theirs. They like fraud and, my sister's kind of involved in the white supremacist group. She likes hate and harassment. Even growing up when we were little. My mom actually taught school in mostly a black school. And growing up. But I went to, when I was little, I went to a babysitter that was actually a member of the NAACP. And he was, I say he because I loved the man. I absolutely loved the man. And I remember them a little bit. But I was so young, I went to them till I was born. And I don't remember that part. I just remember I was there forever. And Mama didn't say much about him. And he even asked one time, he said, if something ever happens to you, can my wife and I adopt Vicki? That was before my sister was born. But he said, can we adopt Vicki? Because they were like grandparents. They were like parents. That's how much they cared. But there was a black couple, a member of the NAACP, and I was the only white child that they ever had. They had an at-home daycare, and I was the only white child they ever had. And at the time, in the mid-'70s and early '80s, it was, you're white, what are you doing here? And I remember that. I was, 5 or 4 or whatever, but I remember that. What are you doing here? Don't you realize that you're in the wrong place? And he would just say, she can be here just like you. And I remember all that. She can be here just like you're here. Her mama pays and your parents sometimes don't pay. So leave her alone. And she comes every day and y'all don't. Leave her alone. She's always been here. And I was there because yes, younger than everybody else. They picked a lot of kids up from school and we'd walk to the school. I remember that part a little bit. We'd walk all together to the school. And it was a black neighborhood. A lot of the members, I was told, a member of the NAACP. And the wife, I don't remember her a lot. She was always like cleaning and up doing things. And I sat on the couch with him and watched TV and read books. And I remember I'd fall asleep with him and so forth. And I was always with him. And if we walked, I was with him, holding his hand, or he was carrying me. And I came home before my sister was born and said, I have 2 daddies. And I started talking. And the father I grew up with, he exploded. I said, I have 2 houses and 2 daddies. I guess I was learning twos. And I have a daddy here and a daddy there and a house here and a house there. I didn't understand. It's normal for children sometimes to not understand, especially when you're with somebody so long. So much in the daytime, you kind of, And he had a stepson, but it was not his. He didn't have any biological children, but I was told she did. I don't really remember that son. He was a teen at the time, an older teen, so I don't really remember him. All I remember is they didn't have any children. I was so little, I didn't think. Whether they did or didn't. I just know that there was no kids at the house other than the kids that they babysitted. And I was there all day. And sometimes after the kids left, I think. And sometimes when the kids were there. But I remember a little bit of it. And a lot more. But I remember a lot more than what the police department even thought I remembered. And my mom never wanted me to talk about it. So what I remembered about the house, because the only babysitter I ever had pretty much my whole life on a continuous basis, I kind of kept to myself. And I remember playing on the sit and spin and different things like that. And all the other kids were too big for it because it was kind of a small one at the time. And so it was the only little toy, so I played on it because they were all big kids. And stuff like that. Well, he didn't want my sister to go to that daycare. So she went to a center. mostly white children, all white children. Well, I went to the daycare. Well, I remember going to the daycare, the center, and the school. It was kind of considered a school. And, there were filing cabinets, there were pretty toys, there were tables, children's tables, dishes, all this stuff that I didn't see at his house. But I couldn't get any attention that I got out of him and her from the teacher. I tried. Good play. I want to take time for you. I remember I was 4 and 5 and 6, and I noticed there were filing cabinets, there was paying this bill, there were centers, there was do this, do that. It's a job. There was no love, and I remember thinking that. I remember looking around thinking, this place isn't so great. And I was just little. And, looking in the rooms and everything, because my sister, I remember even when my sister was a baby and went to the nursery. So they say that I have a little bit of a photographic memory, but it's a little bit selective. Because I remember details, like whenever I was 4 and 5, and about that daycare, and about this daycare center that my sister went to that I shouldn't. Like, I remember going into the nursery and she was a baby in a baby carriage, and we're 4 years apart. I remember. And I remember the filing cabinets. I remember how the room was set up, the room that she went into, and I remember. And she would say, my sister would even say, she was 2 and 3, and she would even say, and 4, and she would even say, this is my daycare. The other one's yours. You can't come here. You can't talk to my teachers, and you can't come here. This is mine. I'm the special one. This is mine. That one's yours. Well, I like that one better. This one didn't seem so great. There was no couch. She didn't get to sit down, and he didn't read a book to only you all day till the other kids came home from school. So I didn't actually look at it like it was so great. But my daughter has a photographic memory. My ex also did, and he didn't show. He was also an alcoholic, and I want to talk a little bit about him and how he grew up. He kind of grew up a little bit, kind of like Drew Barrymore did. It's cute that you're getting drunk. And what are you, 4 or 5? And he talked a little bit like that, like alcohol going in his baby bottle. It puts you to sleep. You get a little liquor and you go to sleep. Yeah, he gets a little hyper and gets a little liquor and takes a little drink and they calm down. Yeah, Mama was an alcoholic, his mama. So he grew up drinking since he was really, really little. And alcohol went into baby bottle. And you drink it and you fall right to sleep. Well, he used to get into the liquor cabinet when he was in elementary. And they thought it was a little funny. They even laughed about it in front of me. And I was pregnant. I was thinking, oh, great. Because I don't drink at all or do drugs. I never even went to a party in my entire lifetime other than a few birthday parties. And my kids just playing around, and sometimes we have pretend parties. We call it just for the heck of it. Just because we want to. And we have pretend cakes and pretend parties. We call it just for the heck of it cake. Or just for the heck of it party, just because we want to. And we always have ever since they've been real little. And we'll just get a cake just for no reason. But this is the pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. You can call any police department worldwide and find out what this story is about. But originally, I was raped after high school by my sister. And she was involved in those white supremacist groups. And they harassed the charges and even harassed them getting arrested. Even harassed telling me that I was raped and I was a virgin. And I sleep in my mom's house and in my bed. A few times, I think several times. I don't know how many. I could not eat in the kitchen because they kept me out of the kitchen. What they did was I would hide food in my bedroom, and my mom made me leave my door unlocked at night. I never figured that out. Sometimes I'd sneak and unlock it anyway because the guys stayed in the house. They lived in the house. She had MS and she had multiple sclerosis, MS.
She also had cancer. But she always let my entire life, my sister ran the house. My parents were separated. The father I grew up with and my stepfather and my mom were separated when we were real little, about 8 or 9 or so, and 8 or 9, and so my sister basically ran the house just like she did when she was little. You know, you're the special one, like the daycare. That was whenever I really started noticing it. And I remember whenever I was real little, I sat all the way across the room, and he sat with her and played. And I remember thinking, I wish I had that back, because I had that from the babysitter, the husband. He played with me like that. And I remember thinking when I was 7 and 8 and 6 and 5, really little, when he lived at the house. That had to be when he lived at the house. I was that little. And I remember, 5 and 6, I remember thinking, I wish I had that back, because I just left that daycare just a year or so before that. Around that time, around 5, 6, I left the daycare for good. And they actually shut the daycare down. So even on the days I didn't go to school, I couldn't go there. And I was a little upset because I went to the center and it wasn't so great. And I just stayed in my room with my sister and watched the little kids play, and sort of helped the teacher and did that kind of stuff. But it wasn't so great. I didn't think the kids were nice. The kids were rude. My sister was rude. You can't touch this. You can't play with this. It's mine. These are my friends. You can't play with them. I was 8. You can play with your friends. She was 4 or 3 or whatever, 2. And you can play with your friends. I just have to stay here because I have to go somewhere. And this is the pain and harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And at the time, my sister asked for help from those groups, and they raped me. She asked for help from those groups because the police department was investigating. We lived right down the road. At the time, we lived right down the road. I mean, I could walk to the police department in about a minute. Maybe 2. If I walk real fast, a minute. Maybe not even that. About 2 minutes. Not long at all. Literally. And the police department's not there anymore, but that's how close it was. And the police department sort of heard. So they started asking questions. Well, my sister and those guys were involved in those white supremacist groups. They also pulled up that I was supposed to be a twin, and I don't think that's the father. They don't have the same blood type. And they did a little investigation. So the groups, and apparently my mom used the groups that my sister was involved in and said, I don't want her to know. I don't want her to know. She was dying and she knew. She didn't want me to know who my real father was. Because his family has, and his family, he would probably be angry, take me away from her, help me where the father we grew up with didn't see. He would see me, and that was right after high school. He would see me, he would do things for me. He would be mad at her, charge her, probably charge my sister because she knew my whole life, and take my sister's children away from her. She had 1, I think, at the time, maybe 2. Take my sister's children away from her. She had quit high school to be a whore, and they were dealing drugs. And I was hiding in my bedroom, didn't know a lot was going on, and turning up the TV real loud so I wouldn't have to hear them, and locking the door, and then going to work and working, I think, 3 hours, and coming back and hiding in the bedroom till I go take a shower and lock the door and come back to my bedroom and leave your door unlocked. Don't lock your door at night, just in case, whatever. Don't lock your door. And I can figure out, my mama always said, don't lock your door. And sometimes I lock it anyway. But she said, don't lock your door and while you're sleeping. And but they were going in there raping me. And how they were doing it, they were putting drugs in my drink. I wasn't allowed in the kitchen. I would there was a grocery store right beside the restaurant I worked at. and I would get a 2-liter, and I'd walk back, and the police department has me on the cameras on the streets and in the store. I'd get a little something, or I'd get something at the restaurant that I worked at, and I'd take it home and sit in my bedroom and eat by myself. And the only really people contact I had as far as talking to people was going to work, because I hid in the bedroom all day, and I kept it myself because really nobody cared. And nobody really cared. My mom was dying. They didn't want to hear. Community didn't want to hear, just like now. And I tried, and even before all that was going on, I tried to talk to some of the people at the church. I think my sister's a little crazy. And you need to talk to my mom, because my sister kind of takes over the house. She kind of makes all the decisions for my mom. And it's not good. And my sister's decisions she's making for me are not good. They say she's a sociopath. And even when she was little, I had a hard time with her. I almost wish I was with that babysitter. Or if I did have another father out there, sometimes I wish I could go with the other father. Because that was the joke. It wasn't a rumor. It was a joke growing up. She made a joke out of it, and so did the family. Everybody did. Everybody around me, nobody ever told me it was a joke. And growing up, my mom dressed us alike. For pictures and for school, we dressed alike. Same outfits, different sizes. I was small for my age. We have different fathers, and I have some birth defects from her trying to abort me. My twin didn't live, and she never went to prenatal care. She just showed up at the hospital. My mom was a little bit of a heavy woman. She had a belly. Well, she hid it. They say that she was smoking a little weed with him and dieting. And so she always just had a belly. She hid it. She always just had a belly. And after she had me, she just lost a bunch of weight. Because all she had was me, basically starving herself. And to hide it, because she was a school teacher. She taught she taught in elementary. And most of my life she taught 3rd grade. I don't know what grade she was teaching then. I think she was teaching a different grade. She didn't really talk much about that time. She wouldn't talk about whenever I was a baby. She wouldn't talk about anything. I used to fall out of the bed, and they say I have a lot of nerve damage, and that could be partly because of this, but I have a lot of nerve damage in my face, and they cause a lot of damage in my face to make my face sag and make me gain weight. That's why I have all this. And this in the cold weather get all puffy because they damage the nerves in my muscles, and I have poor circulation. But they actually damaged my face, so I have a hard time smiling. And growing up, I had a hard time smiling. It actually hurt to smile. It hurts my face to smile. And it's hard for me to smile. And it hurts my mouth to smile. And they say that I used to fall out of my bed, so they think I have nerve damage. And plus, it's probably some due to my birth defects. But also, I had a hard time learning, but they say I have a photographic memory, but because of my birth defect, because of what she did, and they're going to have surgery to try to, because of this thing, and reading my thoughts, and this thing monitoring me for so long, they did stuff in the harassment, doing several different conversations at the same time, and sometimes when the police department talks to me, I have hints, and sometimes, like I just did, that they're saying stuff, and sometimes if they turn it up loud enough and don't turn down one conversation loud enough, one police officer or through the computer, then I know that there's several different things going on, and I'm trying to do this, plus I'm trying to listen to, like, they said there were 7 things going on here where I couldn't hear, but I knew that something was going on. And plus I'm being told to say this, and I'm told to say this. And that's sometimes why I do this, because I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. And they've did that, and that was considered pain, and it actually is pain because it's hard for me to concentrate, and I start doing this and stuff, and they can tell me to do this, and oh, my head, my eyes hurt. They hurt because I'm getting emotional and upset, and I made my medicine. But they said they put some in my drink earlier today. They have to put stuff in my drink, or either they have to freeze me, or either they have to come to me in my sleeping bag on the bench and give me a drug, or either they have to take me in my sleep to the hospital, or they have to resuscitate me and bring me back to life in my sleep and not tell me. It's a very sick court case. But after that threat, years later, I got with my first ex, and we had 3 children. It was domestic violence. Well, I couldn't get any help from the family to leave him. I couldn't get any help from his family. They thought it was funny. My family thought it was funny. Everybody thought it was kind of funny that he was abusing me. And he was a black man. It's what you get. That's what I was being told. It's what you get. It's what you get. It's what you get on both sides. It's what you get. I wanted to get away from him. And I tried. And I even told social service. I couldn't get any help from anybody. And I have a huge lawsuit from Georgia for that. So I got so fed up with it, with him making my life miserable. And there were times that my drink seemed funny, and they said that he slept around with my sister, and there was a little bit of flirty thing going on years ago that kind of made me wonder. There were things that just didn't make sense, like my 90s, the strap on them kept stretching, and I was rather small at the time, a lot smaller than I am now, because they actually did drugs to make me heavy. They did drugs to make me heavy because my sister, my half-sister, that I know now is a half-sister, she got a makeover. She got a makeover while I was in New York to downsize her body because she was bigger than me, because my mom was overweight. I was the smaller one. When I left Georgia, I was 114 pounds. About sometimes about 50 pounds, sometimes 60. It kind of fluctuates because they're trying to shut my thyroid. They shut my thyroid off in the court case, and my heart depends medically on my thyroid. So much so, they have to give me an insulin shot that they made up, but it's kind of like insulin. I'm kind of like extremely, extremely severe diabetic. Like right now, my head is hurting really bad, and they're probably going to have me eat a snack. I have to snack all day. They need me to eat meals. But when you're homeless and you're in a court case, nobody wants you to come in the bathroom. Nobody wants you to come anywhere. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. People follow you around. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. You have nowhere to use the bathroom. You have nowhere to do anything. I come here in the storage unit that I own through the court case, and they don't want to give it to me. It's a really yucky one. I don't like this one. And it's an older one. There's really no heat. It's just kind of, and I've been harassed here, and they're in trouble, and so forth. And I get my stuff, and I go back outside. I have nowhere to go. No family, nobody, no friends. And then my friends, anybody that wants to help, like Oprah, like the police department, like my soon-to-be husband, and in court they legally married us because we can't get married. I'm in harassment. I'm in abuse. I'm supposed to be abuse because everybody's mad and everybody got paid off. They have a right to. It's the white supremacist groups that's behind all this. They went back to an old law that was back from slavery. And my family heritage goes back to Oprah. They went all the way back to slavery and said, we have a right to, oh yeah, she's got Black heritage in her. Am I right to saying it? Because my blood pressure in my brain. My head is hurting really, really bad because I'm getting upset. And please, I haven't eaten much today. Black heritage. It goes back to Oprah and slaves. And so they said, okay, we'll go back to old law. And even Joey, my ex in New York, he would say he was actually willing me $3 million. And that's kind of what started the case. My sister said, I want some. I'm going to sue her. She's going to get this. If she does, I'm going to sue her. Oh, she's got a lawsuit with social service and she doesn't know it because they won't let her know. This is Joey's family wouldn't that wanted it, and his ex-wife that wanted his money and was already fighting for his money and his life insurance and his this and everything he had and everything. He stayed married for the benefits so he could never get married, and nobody else could get anything from him, only her. Well, they didn't want me to know. Well, Joey and the lawyer and Homeland Security was already on the court case, her original court case. The FBI was already on my sister from years ago from raping me and being involved in those groups. And years ago, after I moved out my mom's house, the police department, after they found out I was being raped, all they said was, they called me into the police department. They said, you need to move out. You don't know what's going on there. You don't know what those guys and your sister are involved in. You need to just move out. That's it. They never said another word to me. I said, okay. And then they put this big, thick folder. It was about this thick. And they don't even remember if that was the same folder. It was an orange folder, and it was about this thick in a filing cabinet. And that had, I think that was in 94. And right after I graduated high school, I just graduated high school a few months before that. And they put it in the filing cabinet right behind me, and I watched it go in, and I thought, what's in that? And I think I was 19 at the time, and they said, move out. I thought, well, how do I do that out for $100 a week? So I moved out, and I was still eating nothing. I was living off of eating nothing, and somehow I made it. I drank vegetable juice, and I ate crackers. I would eat a package of saltine crackers, the whole package, and that would be my dinner, and some vegetable juice. So I made sure I ate a little something, and I also had a car payment and paid, I don't know, $200 a month. And I barely took my shower. I'd turn the water off and turn the water back on, and sometimes I slept in the cold to stay out of my mom's house and to never go back, because the police department said don't ever go back. And I really didn't want to. But the problem was, they didn't tell me what was going on. And I was giving Mama my extra key to all of my apartments. What I didn't know is my sister was going in there when I was gone. I never knew, and none of the neighbors ever told me. And she was going into my apartments, and so were the guys occasionally. I was having stuff missing. Well, my ex that I got with soon after that, he knew, and he slept with her. And sometimes I would have the car because we had one car. And he would be in bed sleeping. Oops. You want a little something? She, from what the police department was telling me. Well, one birthday, she came over and he was there. And she was a little bit, she did her little grin, her little kind of flirty grin. My sister's got this flirty grin. Like, yeah, I got something. You don't know. One of those grins. It's kind of like I can't do it. But it's a certain grin that she has, that she's had since she was like really, really little, like before elementary, when she's up to something. So I always know when she's up to something. I just have to look at her and or see how she's acting. And I know she's hiding something and she's up to something. And well, apparently they were sleeping around. The straps on my little nighties were getting stretched out in the boobs, and I couldn't figure that one out. And because I wasn't quite as big as her, but I think something, I don't know, really. Police department's gonna tell me more, they just said. But I couldn't quite figure it out. And a lot of stuff was coming missing. He was taking stuff and giving it to his family. And a lot of Bath and Body Works products, the lotion and this body sprays and so forth. I had a huge tub of it because I collected it. I enjoyed going over there. It was my one, before we got together, it was my one like little lavish myself. I went every weekend and bought me a little something, body spray or lotion from both stores. And it was my little treat to myself. It was the only thing I did. And And that was something I enjoyed, so I did that for myself, and I always had. Well, he took it all and gave it all away, and left me with nothing, pretty much. And it became empty really quick. I had TVs missing, I had this missing, I had that missing. My class ring came up missing. A lot of stuff came up missing. Pictures came up missing. Why would he take... I have no class pictures. I have no pictures from elementary. I have no pictures at all. Even when we were together, he stole all the film. He stole 40 or 60 things of film. And they've given some of it back to the police department because social service... What it is social service asked the family for it. They gave them some of it. They know that they have more. They gave them some of it. And they said, well, we don't want to give this to you because it's ours. No, it actually isn't yours because I took the pictures. I just couldn't afford to get them developed. But they were still good. They stayed in the closet. They stayed in the bag. They stayed dry. I took the pictures, and occasionally I'd get a roll developed. Well, over the years, they've accidentally developed a few. So, and they were my pictures because they could tell they were only pictures of the kids in my house, and they never came in. They never came over to my house, really, at all. I'm trying to think, damn, when did they? But not really at all. And you know, it was, you know, it was the kids and him and stuff around the house that, and they never came over, so that wouldn't work. And it wasn't like they were in the picture. They weren't anywhere around. And, you know, one they said was in a mirror of me actually in the picture because I was taking it with the camera. So, you know, none of that ever worked. But it's the pain and harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, New York, and claim police department worldwide. But what it is they handed over some of the film, but they wanted to turn around and sue. This all had to do with, if we do on this side of the court case, but they wanted to destroy it or sell it because it's supposed to be a book and a movie. They wanted to sell the film. They wanted to sell all my pictures. So everybody stole my memory cards. I had 60 memory cards with the children on it from New York, from everywhere. They wanted to sell my memory cards, sell my pictures, sell my children's pictures that I had, sell everything we had, pictures and all that, because they knew it was already going to be a book and possibly Oprah was going to write it. And it could be a movie. So they wanted to sell everything. They stole all kinds of stuff through this court case, through harassing away charges in the police department. Had to, the way the court case is, they had to, because the way the court case was going, if I stopped her, the police department stopped it, they'll be charged. The police department was going to have a lawsuit, and I was going to have a lawsuit, and I was going to have charges. After going through all this, after the court case ended, I was supposed to spend the rest of my life in prison. Why? Because the court case was never supposed to end. They were never supposed to be sued. None of the money was ever supposed to be given to me. My children were never supposed to come back to me. I was never supposed to have anything. But what happened was, the police department sort of tricked, and they didn't know if it would work, and they couldn't contact them. There could be no proof that they contacted them. But I was looking on Facebook about these. I was passing out in the van in the heat with no food, really. Hardly. And during most of this, I didn't get food stamps. A lot of this, I didn't get food stamps. And when it's everywhere, that was done illegally too. Plus, my phone wasn't supposed to be cut off from New York. They were supposed to, if my phone ever broke, they were supposed to get for free, give me another phone. They're supposed to do all this stuff, but through harassing charges away, and we're never supposed to be charged. We're never supposed to be sued for what we've done. We're never supposed to be arrested. Instead, she is. Yay! This is so much fun, everybody said. But I contacted a bunch of human rights activists. What it is and I didn't know who I was contacting, or what countries, or where they were. I had no clue and really didn't care. I didn't care if I charged the police. because they were involved in all this. What it was they were setting people up. But everybody made it seem like the police were doing it too, which the police were part of it because they were setting everybody up. But they also couldn't tell me what was going on. And I didn't know what was going on. Police department, through the court case, through most of this court case, and even now, lied to me. They were refusing to say anything to my face right now because I'm almost removed from the court case. And technically, I have been removed lots of times. Before I moved from 6 years ago, they removed me. Before I even moved from New York, they removed me 6 years ago. Yeah, Nicholas is 6 years ago. I was pregnant. I just had Nicholas. They had removed me. They're harassing charges away. People protested in court. We don't want her removed to her children. And every time that the courts said, we're removing her in court, they said, no, well, you're not. We're going to keep you in forever. And sometimes there were several times a day the court said, we're removing her. They said it today. We're removing her. And the other side said, nope, you're not. They're harassing charges away. And so what it was there was terrorists that got involved in this court case through the white supremacist groups. And the community is all one court case. And the community was supposed to sue. Well, you got me in trouble for stewie stamps, and they'll explain it, but my throat's hurting. And I need to get off of here. But it's the pain and harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, in New York. A lot of people are being deported, and they actually bought bombs and explosives. They were making explosives here locally, and it could not be aired on the news. And they had to arrest them and confiscate all those. What they were going to do is not attack me, other groups, even white supremacist groups. They're mad at the community for standing up for, like, this stupid storage facility that I'm in. And this stupid, dirty, stupid storage, old, I have no clue when it was built. It's cold and it's old and it's damp, and if you see that, that's a bad sign. If the rat refuses to leave, I just kick the thing out. You refuse to leave this and there's nothing in it, then because it's your house, then I kick the house out of my unit. So the rat just left. Apparently, it never. The police department said they put a trap out in my sleep and they caught it. But and they keep putting things out, like in the hallway at night, and there's no cameras on this floor, but the police department has cameras. And actually the employees want access on the police department's cameras that they have placed in this hallway and in my storage facility, because they did that at other ones. They tapped in onto the police department's cameras, hidden cameras. We know where their cameras are hid, and they ran and told everybody else. And sometimes they would cover them up or try to take them down. And so they kind of stopped all that not too long ago. So you can't know where the cameras are. Like, they didn't know I had cameras on me. And a lot of people didn't know I had cameras in my van. I had cameras in my house, cameras in my bathroom, cameras in my closets without me knowing. And Joey even said one time when we went to go to bed, I can't be here anymore. I said, what do you mean? He said, they're watching everywhere we go and everything we do in the house. Even when we're together in the bed, they're watching us. They're watching us everywhere. I said, Joey, you're drunk. No, they're not. He said, yes, they are. I said, who? He said, don't worry about it. They are. But it was the police department and those white supremacist groups. They'll explain it. They were trying to, I don't know what they were doing, but I had stuff stolen in New York too. And stuff happened there too. My food was drugged. And even my ex was doing stuff for me to sue him. Why? He was that worried because that Michelle would get his almost $3 million that he had access to, including his life insurance policy. And didn't have access because it was held up in the courts because of his ex-wife. Even when his mom passed away, when we first met, most of what he got was held up in the courts from her. And she pretty much drained everything also because she really didn't work much. So and everything that she got from their father, because their father had a good job, was pretty much gone. She pretty much drained it all. And but they'll explain all that. And but I never knew her and never knew his father because I didn't want to meet a man with a dying mom. And then she did die. I didn't even meet him when his mom was dying, and he wanted me to come to the funeral, and he wanted me to come meet her, and she was dying and she couldn't talk and this and that. And I'm like, you can't show up with a girlfriend while your mom's dying. I want her to meet you. You're such, and we had never even met. We just really talked on the phone. We'd never gone out, and we just talked on the phone like all the time. But he lived on Long Island and I lived in Brooklyn. But it's the pain. But he worked in the city. But it's the pain harassment case. Please, Mark just said so. It's the pain and harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. And they also want to tell you how a Homeland Security police officer proposed. How do you propose whenever you can only tell lies? How do you propose when you can only tell lies? Well, you propose. You know her thoughts. You know she thinks you're like the cutest police officer because they monitor my vitals and my blood pressure and how I really, really, really think. And what I really think about. And I really do think he is really, really cute. And he's also very, very tall. And but I really didn't even notice that. I just thought he was cute. But he proposed by only telling lies. He actually said, "I don't want you," and looked back at me. He said, "I'm not him, and I don't want you." But he was saying other stuff. He was mean. But he had to be mean to let me know when the court case got changed around. I'm proposing, and I just proposed. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, but I'm having to tell you that I hate you, and I'm not him. Somebody else is, and I hate you, and I don't want you, and I'm not going to New York with you. That's what he said, exactly. And, but he proposed. And he works for the state of Tennessee, but he also works for New York, and he works for Homeland Security. But even he wants to talk, and he talks on the website. It's the pain harassment case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York, and I can't wait to go home with him. And he actually helps out in court, and he actually is a federal investigator. He investigates hate crimes and terrorists, and that's why he was in on the case. And he actually came to this area, to Chattanooga, because he wanted to see me. He wanted to see. It was right after I charged the states through the human rights groups without knowing. All I did was email them. I emailed one group, only said, "Please help," and my social security number. That was absolutely all I emailed. That's all the police department would let me email. I had no clue what was going on. I just knew I was being abused. My children were in foster care. I was passing out in a minivan. The battery would not start because they destroyed the van. I was losing my stuff in my storage unit. They were locking it up real soon. I was losing everything I had. I had no clothes in the van. I was sleeping in a parking lot in the van. I didn't even have the seats in the van because the van wouldn't start. I had no gas. I had nothing, and I couldn't figure out why all this was going on, why nobody cared, and why was I being drugged and passing out in the heat and and I couldn't roll down the windows. I had to sleep at night in the heat. And all the seats were out of the back of the van. I just slept on the floorboard. I didn't have any blankets, really didn't have a pillow or nothing, and slept on the floor at the back of the floorboard at the back of the van. not even taking a shower or nothing. I had nowhere to take a shower. And I couldn't figure out what's going on, but my phone was almost shut off. And I was having a hard time charging my phone. And because I had nowhere to charge it. So my phone was almost dead, and the service was going to be shut off in a day or two. So the police department kind of tricked the court case. But what I did was I emailed please help and my social security number to one group. That was it. No name. I don't even think I said my name. It was just please help. I don't remember if I even put my name. I just remember please help and social security number. That was it. And that was the only message. And it was a group, and they work with South Africa and some other countries and the UK. And they thought, this is really weird. We got a message saying, please help from the United States with a social security number. This makes no sense. So they contacted it because it was out of the norm. It was very strange. It wasn't some big long message and pictures and everything to go with it, and some kind of group and church and whatever else, and big long stories. Just please help and social security number. And I didn't know what else to do. And that's all that they would let me do. And I was told, they asked, they said, what would you say? That's what they're telling me to say right now. What would you say? I was passing out and couldn't think, and I was passing out all day, and my head hurt extremely, extremely bad. At that time, my head hurt so bad because what was going on, I had, and still do, I have less blood in my body than what I should, and they'll explain why they did that. My heart, because of this and less blood in my body, it almost has to beat slow. And I'm also not drinking enough fluids and not eating enough. But my body for so long has learned to adjust. I have to drink a lot of fluids, and I get real thirsty right now. I'm really, really thirsty. But I can't drink what I'm used to. I'm used to drinking like a lot because I have to, and I'll explain, because of my small heart. And I don't know, I have to have a lot of blood in my body, a lot of volume, they just said, because it has to beat, my heart has to beat faster than what it should beat. My blood pressure, if my blood pressure seems normal, if I go to the doctor, and I don't feel good. If it shows up normal, I don't feel good. I'm drowsy and I don't feel good because my blood pressure, I can't compare my blood pressure. I never knew this, and I have gone to the hospital a lot of times and didn't know why, and told the doctor I didn't feel good, and they never really checked into it. They just said, well, your iron's good, your dish good, just eat better and be more active. Yeah, but my head hurts so bad and I don't feel like getting off the couch. And I don't know what to do. And sometimes it doesn't make you very hungry. And actually right now, because of the chip in the brain and the damage done to certain parts of my body and blood clots and so forth, they actually, a very small part in my body, in my brain, they killed it. They basically killed it. And it's not mentally. They killed that part of my brain. They damaged it. And they don't know if they can reactivate it, but I don't get hunger, pains. My brain does not tell my body that it's hungry. So I could go 3 days and not eat. And the only thing is, the police department has to, on my earbuds, they say eat. Eat a sandwich. Go to the break room. They'll tell me on my earbuds, they'll say eat a sandwich, get some chips, and get a soda. And by the way, get a bag of candy. And I'm like, ugh. So I sit there, nom, 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 and hurry up and eat it because I don't want it. I'm not hungry. And sometimes it may taste good, but I'm not hungry, and I really don't feel. I get thirsty. I'm thirsty right now because I can feel it right here, but I don't get hungry. And my stomach stopped growling, and I couldn't figure out my stomach stopped growling, and I was going 3 and 4 days without eating. And they'll explain it. my stomach really doesn't growl. It never growls. I could go all day, or I could eat a snack and my stomach will not growl. And I don't get hunger. I don't get hungry. And I smell food. It smells good. I know how it tastes. I know what it's like to be hungry, and that helps. And the police department just said that helps. They tell me on my earbud, eat. But the problem is, I'm not hungry. I may walk past like a fast food place and smell the grease, and I think, oh, this stinks. But I think, ooh, it stinks, not, oh, I'm so hungry that, I don't, that's not what I think. I think, oh, it's, it stinks. Or, that fruit looks good. But, I know what it tastes like. I know what it's like to be hungry. And I know, but so it's a lot different with me. They have to tell me to eat. And even though I fill up my stomach, but I don't feel hunger. And that part is numb. And they don't know if they can reactivate it. But after this court case, they're going to have to downsize my body because of my heart and the damage that was done. And everything that was done, and my heart, my lungs, my lungs. And back to how it was. And they had to turn my thyroid back on. I have an extremely overactive thyroid that depends on my heart. And somehow they think that God somehow worked it out that way. And but that's what's kept me alive my whole life until this court case, and they shut it off. And it'll kick in a little bit and it'll kick off. It'll kick in a little bit through the drugs they're giving me, and they'll kick off. And they'll tell me it's working on here, and then they'll say, because they can tell from here and drug testing me in my sleep or so forth. And they'll say, oh, it's, and sometimes I'll get like heartburn. And sometimes they'll trick me and they'll say, you're hungry. And they train my brain to think heartburn and gas meant eat. And I know that's not true. But they'll say, oh, you're hungry. And so sometimes when I think heartburn, I think, I must be hungry. They made my brain think it's kind of like hunger pains. So they sometimes would trick me to make me think that I'm hungry. But, then they gave me medicine to cause more gas. Severe gas. And it built up in my stomach. And what that could have done, and has done at times, is slowed my heart down, and it helped to shut my heart off. I say help because that's what they wanted. And it was hard on my lungs and my body, and I had severe gas. I mean, I should have been rushed to the hospital. I couldn't even breathe. And then whenever they gave me medicine to get it up, I was burping so much. They don't see how I didn't pass out, even on the job. On the job, I'm sitting here burping like crazy, and they laugh, and they don't say what they could have done the whole time during all this. I'm breathing hard, almost passing out. My head hurts so bad. I'm like this because my head hurts so bad. Oh, my head hurts. Lots of times and my head hurts. I look like I'm about to pass out, and I'm wobbly sometimes. What they could have done at work was say, we're going to call the hospital on it for you. Well, what happened was, in the court case, some people said, you can't call the hospital. So at work, they didn't call the hospital. And the hospital has to lie anyway, but they still treat me by lying, just like Tony proposed by lying. And but I can't go to the hospital. They actually took it away, and I can't go to the hospital. Hospital has to lie to me by anything that they tell me. They told me one time I had AIDS. I don't have AIDS. The police department say on the website I have AIDS. They said I had AIDS. And I had MS and cancer. And I'm not sure what else they said. They said all kinds of stuff. And none of that was ever true. But it's a ridiculous court case. And they lied to my daughter, too, and lied to my children. But, yeah, everybody's sick. And there's been even more that's happened. But it's the Painter Asked Me case for Georgia, Tennessee, and New York. I'm going to go ahead and get off here because the police folks tell me I need to take my medicine. They put it in my bottle that I took earlier today to the laundromat. I had Dr. Pepper in a water bottle. I put it in a water bottle and poured it in there and left it. And they tricked my brain. They actually had me to put it in, and they told me to put it in the back pocket of the cart that I put my clothes in to go to the laundromat. And they made me forget. They can make me forget stuff. They made me forget about that Dr. Pepper. And then I got walking to the bus, and I thought, oh, I'm thirsty. And they know my thoughts, but I don't. And they said, where's your Dr. Pepper? Oh, you left it. And they do stuff like that. And on here, it really ticks me off because that goes on all day, every day. And what they did is they tricked me just in case they needed to give me my drug for the evening. And it depends on how I feel or how my blood pressure is in different parts of my body that they can monitor on here and monitor on here. And sometimes the doctors will go wherever I am, and sometimes they'll go here. And right now they're making me do this video because actually my blood pressure did drop in my brain and it dropped in my eyes while I've been talking because I wanted to cry. And I don't want to say this and I don't want to do this video, but it's also increasing my heart rate because it's trying to compensate for this, and it's doing these videos. Actually, I don't want to do it, and they make me do it. They actually make me do these. I don't want to do them, so it kind of upsets me. It kind of makes me a little, but it disappoints me more talking about what people have done to my children and that I'm about to get a sleeping bag out of the storage unit that I have hanging up because all my stuff gets wet, so I have to let it dry in the morning and hang it up. And the police department said, open the door and show them the sleeping bag. But it's hanging up, and I have to do that every morning, or my stuff is wet from the dew or from it raining. And it's a really sick case, but there's my 2 sleeping bags, and this is what I got left over. And I have like a little tent sleeping bag thing that I bought.